Disclaimer! The following episode contains spoilers for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Don't go crying to your mum if we spoil it for you. You've been warned. Welcome to Podcapers, the official podcast for a place to hang your cape. And this week, who says you can't have a do-over? We're talking about the Snyder Cut, even though we don't call it that anymore. Cue the music! Hello there, Capers, and as I said, welcome to Podcapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. My name is Scott James Merridew, and this is a show where I talk about various geek and nerd-related topics, and I'm joined each week by a very special different guest. It wouldn't be a DC review episode without Alex Mirabal.
Hello.
Hi, Alex. How you coping?
I'm existing, but I am happy.
Existing, but happy. I mean, that's all any of us can hope for. So... turns out, if you complain enough online, stuff happens. Why does this never happen with me? It's always other people. Whenever I complain about something, it almost never comes to pass, unless it's something horribly ironic, like when I complained that we need a Fantastic Four reboot. Look what happened then. I hold myself responsible.
That's your fault.
Thankfully, this is not that. The Snyder Cut, aka Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I see what you're doing there, DC, by putting his name front and center, absolving yourself nicely of blame there in case anything goes wrong. Zack Snyder's Justice League is... well, it's not good, but it's not bad. Zack Snyder's Justice League is complicated.
It is so far leagues in a way better than the original.
Oh yeah. Oh, like, absolutely.
Oh my god, so much better. But I am on the wagon of it's already getting more hate than it deserves. But it is so much fun. I had so much fucking fun watching that movie.
I know why you had fun, and I'm going to explain why you had fun. But we can't talk about that now because we've got the news! This is going to be a long episode, Capers. We're not going to waste too much of your time with the news. Some highlights and one thing that I really do want to talk about. First of all, Avengers PS4 has revealed that they're going to include, as a free update, that thing that they do to justify all the microtransactions, they're going to introduce Black Panther into the game. I'm sure the free people that are playing that game still will be very happy and excited. I mean, are you playing that game?
Absolutely not. I don't care. I haven't played it. The only Marvel game I've ever played is Spider-Man PS4, and that game rules. But that's it. I have zero desire to play any other one.
I was about to say, have you not played Miles Morales? But no one's played Miles Morales because no one has a PS5.
Nope.
Stupid question.
I wish.
Got that out of the way. Now we can move on to slightly more interesting news. It has been announced that the Clone Wars, aka the Genndy Tartakovsky version, aka the 2003 version, the Proto-Clone Wars TV series, as well as the older Ewoks TV series, is coming to Disney+. I'm actually quite excited about this, because I really like Genndy, last name I can't pronounce, Tartakovsky. I've got it written down in front of me, so hopefully that's how you pronounce it. Apologies if it's not. I really admire the guy. He's he's done things like Samurai Jack and those Hotel Transylvania things. So he's a very, very talented creator.
Is it coming back, or is it just they're putting it up there?
I think they're just putting it up there.
Okay.
I don't think they're doing anything more because, I mean, why would they? And Ewoks, that was one ages ago. I think that was because here's the thing: the Clone Wars TV series, the cartoon series, and indeed the 2003 cartoon series weren't the first Star Wars cartoons. There was droids, there was Ewoks, there was even some live action stuff like Caravan of Courage. We're not going to go down that road, Alex. We're not. But this is fun news for all the people who have subscribed to Disney Plus. I know it justifies me having Disney Plus for at least another month to my everlasting shame and regret. Also, apparently I owe people some apologies, because I thought for a little while there that I came up with an absolutely fantastic idea for the next Avatar in the Avatar The Last Airbender cycle, if you will, to be a sandbender. Turns out someone already had that idea. This isn't really news, as this has been going on for quite a few years, but I've only just become aware of it, and I want to share this with all of you. Someone came up with like this multi-fan collaborative project, including like a comic and then a couple of bits of animation, centered around the next Avatar, who is a sandbender named Genji. I apologize that if anyone thought that I was like taking credit for that idea. I doubt anyone was, but as soon as I thought, I immediately was crushed by the weight of my own guilt. Just like, oh no, I've been saying that they should do that, and somebody has already done that like a year plus since I first came up with the idea. And I don't want it to seem like I'm taking credit or anything. Whoever came up with this idea, they deserve the credit. It's an excellent idea. Go and check it out. If you Google Sandbender Genji.
I don't think it's out of the possibility. Like I don't think it's something that's like impossible to think of. Like I think a lot of people want specialized benders to be more focused. Like it would have been cool if like Korra was one of the specialized water bendings, but we didn't get that. She was just general water bending.
I mean, it's just I think because a few people said, "Ooh, that's a really good idea," and that makes my ego swell to mass proportions, and this popped it like a little bubbly balloon. So I just wanted to put that out there. Go check it out. Go support the people who make that. It looks really fucking cool. Also, on something that's more actual news. Emerald Fennell has been asked to direct a Zatanna movie. Alex, are you familiar with Emerald Fennell?
No, but I'm definitely familiar with Zatanna, and I am so into that.
Well, you're going to be into Emerald Fennell in a little bit once I tell you who she is, because she is an actor-director. British audiences will know her from the much-beloved, I'm sure you'll have heard of it if you haven't seen it, Call the Midwife. And she's excellent in that. It's about a bunch of midwives and nurses working in the 1950s in very much impoverished, popular region of London. It's a very good show and well worth anyone looking into who might be interested in British period drama that's a little bit light, but also talks about some very serious issues. Indeed, Emerald Fennell portrayed a character who was lesbian in that show, and she did a very good job at that. She also, however, American audience might know her for this, directed the frankly excellent Promising Young Woman film.
Yeah, the second I looked her up, I was like, oh, that's the Promising Young Woman. Yes, I'm so down for this. Hell yeah.
Damn right. I really like that movie. I thought it was excellent. I know it had some detractors, but they can go suck a big fat dick, because it's an excellent movie that examines its subject matter with tact, nuance, and yeah, it's a little bit out there, but it's not afraid of its own subject matter, like so many films that tackle a similar subject, i.e. the subject of rape.
Yeah, great creative aesthetic for Zatanna, I feel like. Like that character specifically. They're not just like throwing a random character at her. I feel like she would do a very good job with this character. And
I think it's also because she is an actor as well. So she understands that process. So maybe she could be more supportive than a lot of other directors are. And she, like I said, it's a very creative movie, Promising Young Woman. So damn right she could do Zatanna. And I'm really glad that someone like Emerald Fennell, who you could argue like a year or two ago was relatively obscure, at least in the directing side of things, is now getting this opportunity. And I think that's going to be really excellent. One thing that is not excellent, though, and this is not pop culture related, but it is worth talking about because we have to talk about it, because if we don't, it's going to continue in obscurity and it needs attention. The events in Atlanta over the past week, the objective hate crime that was perpetrated against several Asian people by a crazed gunman, who the police described afterwards as having a bad day. We all know, even if some people aren't talking about it, and I include myself in this, that attacks and hate crimes and just crimes in general against Asian Americans has been on the rise since everything that's happened with coronavirus. It's blatant racism, that has been stoked by the previous American government administration. And we just have to keep on talking.
It is something that has been there for a long time in America before Trump. It's still there. It is when our government and our governmental leaders are so adamant that a certain country is our enemy and we should do everything to beat them down, like China, it's impossible for that to not bleed over to racism.
And it's happened before, like you said.
It's absolutely, yeah. It's blaming all of China for the coronavirus has bled into racism. You can't just blame a country for all your problems and not expect the immigrants from that country coming to our country, or people that aren't even immigrants of that country, people who just vaguely look like people from that country, are gonna get shit from that. You can't expect that to not happen. Racism, of course they're gonna get shit for that. People are awful.
Yeah, racism does not distinguish diaspora. It's so fucking awful. It's so easy for me to say that, but it really is. And I'm so sick of this because, like I say, this happened before from mass events like Japanese internment camps and things that happen over here in the wake of any terrorist attack that happens over here. Massive outcry and backlash against people who might be part of that community, or not part of that community, you know what I mean? I mean, it's happened, and it doesn't distinguish between ethnicity or culture or religion. If anyone in a position of authority points to a group of people and says they're the enemy because someone did a bad thing or a bad thing happened in something that's vaguely from where they come from, it inevitably, it's like a green light for the bigots and the racists. It's happening over here with Irish people, with Pakistani people, Middle Eastern people, and also Asian people. There is no way that I, a white English person, can deny the effects of the racism of my own government, let alone the American government. It's easy for me to point fingers, but I have to acknowledge the fact that I am in a society that was built around directly giving someone like me support while at the same time demonizing others. And I'm sick and tired of it. My goal in this life is to leave the world better than when I found it. And thankfully, there are many people who share that ideal and are, much more than me, actively working to help, and they are speaking out. And there are so many people online and in person who are desperately trying to make a difference. And whenever something like this happens, yes, we should look at the idiots in charge who are, again, giving the green light to all the racists, or playing down, denying all this wasn't a hate crime, it was because he was a sex addict. That bullshit. But at the same time, there are people who are desperately trying to help, who, if not by shedding light on such an important issue, then by actually doing something about it. And so that's something that we have to keep in mind, I think. And aside from that, I just wish the Asian American community in America just nothing but the best, and hope that things get better. And they will get better as long as we all keep trying to make things better. And on that lovely note, let's have some ads.
And now we're pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
So, Justice League. Let's finally fucking talk about it. How did we get here, Alex? Break it down for us.
Yeah. So towards the end of Justice League's production, when there was just some reshoots they needed to do left and post-production, Zack Snyder left the project. He had a family emergency. His daughter had unfortunately committed suicide, and he had to step away. And assuming that whoever Warner Brothers was going to replace him with was going to complete his vision, and really all they needed to do was push it over the finish line. Unfortunately, they hired Joss Whedon, who had a completely different vision, and him, along with the studio, jigsaw pieced, Frankenstein monstered a movie together.
They chimered it.
Yeah, a movie that they wanted to be so much like the MCU that they could, focus on that. That doesn't work. It was never going to work.
And here's the thing. Again, I blame myself for this. This is a cursed monkey paw situation for me yet again, because I wanted the DCU to be like the MCU, but from a structural point. I wanted them to start with individual movies for all these characters and then bring them together Justice League, but I wanted them to do them their own way. Obviously, I wanted it to be good, and I didn't think most of those movies were good, but my issue was mainly with the structure. I thought it was haphazard, I thought it was reactionary, and I thought it sort of let these characters down and didn't give me the experience that I think we deserved. What I didn't want them is for them to turn the DCU on a dime and suddenly like, you're the MCU now! Because that's never going to work. As much as I love the MCU, that's never going to work.
Yeah.
And after that, there was a massive outcry. The Snyder Cut! The Snyder Cut! We want the Snyder Cut!
Well, there was a lot of things that came out like afterwards. Kevin Smith had an interview with a woman who was in one of the test screenings, and she talked about all the things that were in that movie that never appeared or even mentioned. And everyone's like, okay, that's weird. Like, some things get cut out, obviously, yes, but the amount that was cut out was excessive. Was like, it's a totally different movie. It's not even close to the same story. It's just weird.
And, some studios at least are known for doing this. They'll hack something apart in order to make it fit some sort of vision or some sort of marketing stratagem. But like I said, there was a lot. And that led to people theorizing.
Even down to the soundtrack. Joss Whedon fired Junkie XL, who was going to do this after he had done Batman vs. Superman with Hans Zimmer, and replaced him with Danny Elfman. Though. Some of his music, not all of it. Most of it was Danny Elfman.
Okay.
Hence why that movie is filled with just Danny Elfman doing his Tim Burton theme again. Which is just, it's really jarring because it doesn't fit that Batman ever. And they had the classic Superman theme, which also doesn't fit that character.
No, I mean, I would prefer the character that theme music does fit, but we can't have everything. So, yeah, I mean, if we learned anything from Harvey Weinstein, is that we can't tolerate sexual abuses. But if we can learn two things from Harvey Weinstein, it's that we can't just take a machete to movies. You thought that I was going to say the stupid thing is the main thing we need to learn, didn't you? No. Oh, God. And so, yeah, then the Snyder Cut built up so much momentum that DC were basically obligated to make it just because they knew there was an audience for it.
I think it was definitely a marketing strategy because they knew how much money they could have made off of it, especially putting it on HBO Max. Like, it was always going to be on HBO Max. It was never going to be like only theaters and then HBO Max. It was one of the few things that was like, with the announcement of HBO Max, it was like, and we're getting the Snyder Cut.
Jokes on you, HBO Max. I watched it on Now TV on a free trial. How'd you like them apples?
No, I watched it on HBO Max. I think my dad's like phone company bundles HBO Max with his phone bill. So there's a lot of like weird bundling things in the US with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, don't even want to touch that. Jeez. So, and it resulted in this. And it's safe to say that the fan response has been overwhelmingly positive.
Mm-hmm. I even think people who aren't fans, like people who I've seen on Twitter making fun of, and lovingly making fun of, like a bunch of other Snyder stuff, within DC stuff. Gail Simone, like prominently, didn't really like Batman vs Superman and makes fun of it a lot, and people get on her about it. She fucking loved this movie.
See, this is what I find interesting about this movie, because when I was watching, I was thinking, this is a movie for DC fans.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a movie for general audiences. It's not a movie for superhero fans. It's not even a movie for people who liked the original Justice League or even Batman vs Superman or any of those other DC movies. It's a movie for fans of a movie that didn't exist yet. So they made the movie.
The two people I watched it with had not seen a single other DCEU movie. They saw Birds of Prey because I forced them to watch Birds of Prey with me.
Good
but they hadn't watched it. They are not DC people. They have never watched a thing, but they were so into this. They, like, our only complaint consistently has been there's like one or two scenes that's like really weird and awkward, but
there were way more awkward scenes in the original, though. There
was way more awkward scenes in the original, and the length. This would have been so much better as a miniseries.
A miniseries, or do you know what? Okay, so here's the thing: the runtime of this movie, including the credits, is roughly 4 ding dang diddly hours. No, Zack Snyder.
I do appreciate the chapter breaks because you can take breaks. Like and on HBO Max, I don't know if it was a thing when you watch it, but on HBO Max they have like markers where the chapters end. Right. So you can go take breaks and come back to it whenever you want. But that's what we did. We did 2 hours, took a break, came back and watched the other 2 hours. But it would have been way better, I think. You really don't even have to do much. Just cut it at the chapter marks and make those different episodes. 4 episodes. It's fine.
That is a very good point. But that's not what they did. They released it as a 4-hour movie. And I object to that on moral fucking grounds. Now, here's the thing. I like long movies. I am more than happy to sit my ass in a cinema for 3 hours, maybe even 3.5 hours if it's a really good movie, and watch it and be absolutely satisfied. This is 4 hours. And here's the thing. I find that very self-indulgent. And bear in mind, this is Zack Snyder's Justice League, so you do expect a level of self-indulgence. I don't begrudge the man that, but 4 hours, no. Because we have to watch it, this is our time, and frankly, I think you could cut, at most, probably not more than that, but at most, an hour out of this runtime, and it would still be great. Or you would still enjoy it as much.
There are like small things that I think could be recut and shortened down, but honestly, everything that's in this movie serves a very clear purpose. There's nothing that I feel like isn't followed up on. Like the only full scene that I think could be entirely cut is like the second to last scene.
Don't get me started on that, because we've only got so much time to do this. No,
we'll get there.
But here's the thing. Alex is just on a quick dog taming break, capers, so do bear with us a moment. In the meantime, I'm going to enjoy some lovely Earl Grey tea. Just like Picard makes it. See, the trick is to really let it steep for a good long while. So, what was I going to say? Yes. So, you knew this was coming, Alex. You knew this was coming. Marvel does... I won't say it does more with their runtimes, but Marvel does equivalent in terms of quality with the same runtime spread out over possibly 2.5 movies. 2 at the very most. And it's just... I feel like there was a way that this could have been a reasonable runtime, and it would have still been enjoyable for the people who enjoy this kind of thing. And
I think part of me is saying yes, but this is this is both Infinity War and Endgame if the Russo brothers were only allowed one movie left. Like, they were like, you guys got one movie left, put everything you want to do with this universe in it, because that's all you got. So
that is a good point. And the problem is, if this was the only Justice League we'd ever got, I would be complaining more about this, because I'd be like, why didn't you split this up into 2 movies? Why don't you just film them back to back or something like that? But that's not the case. We're in a very unique situation here. And as much as, I want to ignore the context, this film doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is someone coming in and finishing a job that they started that someone came in and buggered up in the middle. Right. So it's self-indulgent, and I don't like the fact that it's 4 hours, but I understand why it is 4 hours. It's 4 hours.
The director's cut of Batman vs Superman is also 3.5 hours. So it's not a uncommon thing for Zack Snyder to want to just make epics, which I'm not like. I am not opposed to the existence of this kind of thing, but it probably I don't know. Like, it feels like. I am not opposed to the idea of a 4-hour DC movie. I understand. DC. Well, I do enjoy like big epic stories, and sometimes TV shows can't get there because they have to be their own compact episodes. So if you're just gonna, get it all in one, sometimes you got to do that, and I'm okay with it. I know that a lot of people don't like that. It's actually the length is actually part of the reason why I've never seen Infinity War, and I don't want to. Or Endgame. I've seen Infinity War. I've never seen Endgame. I don't want to, because it's not something I care about enough to sit through that long. But I understand, because that's.
I'm sorry. I must have had a stroke or something, because it sounded like you said you'd never seen Endgame.
I've never seen Endgame, and I don't care to.
Okay, so Capers, after this episode, I'm going to be working on some blackmail material to force Alex to watch Endgame. If you feel like sending me anything, it can be, it can be fake and can be real. I don't care. I just need dirt. Give me dirt. Anyway, moving on, we got to start talking about the actual fucking movie. Otherwise, we'll be here till the gates of hell freeze over. So, one thing I will say in this movie's defense, above all others, they got rid of that scene where Superman is talking to the kids via the video recorder, and they got rid of the whole lip thing.
Yeah, that was weird. I did actually, what happens after that in the original, I actually really enjoyed the slow opening of showing everyone's reaction to Superman being dead and how the world is reacting. That didn't exist in this movie, unfortunately. But the opening is very silly. But this movie,
it is. But here's the thing. On that note, I will say this: it's a lot subtler, and I kind of appreciate it for that. I have some really. My feelings on this are so fucking complicated, Capers. You could write a psychological thesis on the intricate complexities of my emotions regarding this movie. What it actually starts is with Superman's death, defeating not Doomsday. Not Doomsday.
Kind of Doomsday.
No, it's not Doomsday. Do you know what it is? It's Monster, Grey, Hulk, Shrek, Superboy. They combined Lex Luthor's DNA with Superman. Well, no, not Superman. With Zod. That's Superboy's origin story. Kryptonian and Lex Luthor make a baby, Superboy. Anyway, Jesus. It starts with him getting stabbed, and then he starts screaming, and the screams send out big shockwaves across the whole world.
The Doppler effect is so silly. It's so impossible to make that not silly.
I mean, I will give it credit. I give credit to you, Zack Snyder, for opening a movie with the most Super Snyder slow-mo ever. It's the whole world in slow-mo. I bet he jizzed himself when he did this. Because this is the thing about it. Okay, spoiler alert. Here's my opinion on Zack Snyder as a filmmaker. I think he is an excellent cinematographer. and visual ideas guy. He's kind of like George Lucas in that way, or obviously they're very different styles. But when it comes to character, plotting, dialogue, the writing in general, and even some parts of direction, I do not see the appeal. I really don't. I know some people are fans, and I get why, but I personally do not see the appeal. And this is why. All the snow... I wish I had a counter for all the time pointless slow motion happened in this movie. I swear, that's why it's 4 fucking hours, because like a quarter of the runtime is just people walking very slowly to sad music. All around me are familiar faces. What others? Amy Adams is walking slowly. It's obnoxious. It's annoying. Anyway, and also his scream, like, it echoes out across the world, and it like bends trees, but it doesn't break glass. I don't understand.
I don't know. It's a Kryptonian yell. They're special.
What about Kryptonians isn't special? Let's be honest. Excuse me, just 1 second. Bit of tea went down the wrong windpipe.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, and that's the prologue. I guess they don't call it a prologue because
yeah, it takes like this. It's weird because it's you're unsure when this movie starts. like you have this like prologue of like the end of Batman vs Superman, and you see like the scenes of the mother boxes waking up, and then Iceland.
Yes.
Is the movie starting now?
Which is not good for the start of your movie if you don't know when it starts. We skip over the whole Superman digital video lip thing, thank God, and we see Brucey Wayne going to Iceland to confront Arthur Curry. And he's like, no, I don't want to be part of your team. I'm a lone wolf guy, but in the sea, a lone wolf shark. And all the other Icelanders are just like, fuck you, Bruce Wayne. We hate you for some reason. Maybe it's the beard. I don't know.
He's American. He's an American guy coming to a very isolated town. They don't fucking want him here.
I don't know. I mean, not to generalize or make stereotypes, but Icelandic people are pretty goddamn chill. So I know that was not a pun. I mean that sincerely. That was not a pun. Anyway, and so then Aquaman goes out into the water whilst the Icelandic women start singing a song.
I don't understand why that is. What is happening?
And then one of the girls just like picks up the jumper that Jason Momoa discarded, lifts it to her face, and takes a big old sniff.
It's so weird. This whole scene, he goes in the water and it's like, okay, next scene. No, they're gonna sing for, okay. All right. No, that's fine. I guess. They're doing this.
In the most unsubtle way, in full view of everyone, just smells his jumper. It was very uncomfortable.
Super weird.
Don't kink shame me!
Very weird.
I mean, let's be honest. If we had access to Jason Momoa's jumper, we'd take a little bit of a sniff as well. Let's not pretend like we're better. And so it doesn't go well for Batman, and it goes back to one of the saving graces of the previous movie, and yet another saving grace of this movie, Jeremy Irons as Alfred. Now, there are some scenes that have been added to this, and some scenes that have been taken away. But one thing I want to make perfectly clear. There is no reason why Jeremy Irons can't be in more of this movie. He's lovely!
He's fantastic. He does a really good job at he has a great chemistry with Ben Affleck. They rip off each other so well.
It's weird. You wouldn't think of those two actors having a lot of chemistry, but they work really well together. They're both good actors. And it's also, I like the fact that this Alfred, here's the thing, with every iteration of Batman, you have to reinterpret a lot of characters, and Alfred is one of them. So the Michael Goff version was very prim and proper, but there was also an underlying dryness. With Michael Caine, it was a lot more emotional, a lot more, him standing against Bruce, even though he was helping them. Jeremy Irons, I like to call him the Alfred who gets his hands dirty.
Absolutely. He's building stuff constantly.
He seems like he's an equal participant in the Batman project, if you will.
Later on, and I don't even know if this is ad-libbed or in the script or something, when Bruce introduces him to the group, he says, "I work for him. This is Alfred, I work for him."
That's so great, because that's something Batman would definitely say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole progress of the movie, like, Batman's broody and stuff, but every time he's, like, around Alfred, he's, like, smiling and, like, having a good time, and he's like, "No, you know what? This is cool. We're just hanging out, Alfred."
Because... Damn it, what's going on with my throat? Because the best Alfred brings out the human side of Bruce, the side of him that he thought died when he was a child. That's something Michael Caine did very well. That's actually something that Michael Gough did very well, oddly enough, in Batman and Robin, of all things. Well, I mean, George Clooney gave him nothing in return, but Michael Gough did the very best thing. And, so, love Jeremy Irons. He's great. And he's in the movie more, so I'm absolutely fine with that. We then cut across to Themyscira, home of the Xena cosplayers. And so they are guarding a mother box, a piece of sentient... I don't want to go over all of this again, because we did discuss it when we did Justice League, but this feels like a new movie, so we kind of have to. I don't know what the lines are. But then Steppenwolf, once again, reemerges from a boom tube. Some of the nomenclature in this universe is kind of silly. It's very silly, but that's just DC. That's not something that Zack Snyder can control. No. We were sitting there the whole time. It's like, this guy's name is Arthur? Arthur Curry.
Okay.
Was Leonard Charmaine already taken? I don't know. So then we're introduced to Steppenwolf, and he looks... better?
I like this Steppenwolf because I hadn't seen the original one in so long, so I looked him up, and one of the people I was watching this with was like, "Oh, he looks really cool," and then I showed them the old one, like, "Oh no, the old one looks so boring."
Yeah. The other one, he just looked like a big CGI monster, very generic. This one. He still looks a bit like a CGI monster, but the CGI is much better. In fact, the CGI is better all across the board. And
it's not... I've had a problem recently with all movies that are like this, where I can tell where it's like, okay, that doesn't look great, but like, I don't think that's a fault on the movies that are trying to do this. I think it's literally just like, we're getting better as people who are growing up in an age with this kind of technology that we can see the badness.
I mean, here's the thing with CGI over practical effects. With practical effects, when you see it on screen, your brain subconsciously knows that that's a real thing. It's like when you look at Ben Affleck, that's a person. That's a real human being right there. When you look at the mug that he's holding, that's a real mug, your brain goes. You don't consciously think that, but your brain goes, that's a real mug. He's really touching the mug. That mug is really there. When you've got a CGI mug, the subconscious thing sort of falters. It's the uncanny valley effect. And it's like, even if it's a really good CGI mug, it might take you a little while, but it's like, what's going on with that mug? Why would they CGI a mug? And
Steppenwolf looks really good. Just in general, like, people made fun of it. I think the problem is when Steppenwolf, when you're looking at a still of him, he doesn't look that good. But in motion, all of those little individual things are moving constantly. They're reacting to his reactions. Like, whenever he's like getting, like, I saw somebody compare him to a cat. Whenever he's like excited or scared or stressed out, they all just like perk up all at once. Like all of his shoulders, his arms.
Yeah, because he's got really this armor now that sort of reacted to it. He's got like loads of tiny little individual plates, little slivers of metal that shift and form around him that I don't think was in the original. I mean, on the whole, in terms of his visual design, Steppenwolf is very much... The soundtrack did not play. Damn it! That was going to be so clever, but it did not pay for some reason. One thing I do want to say is Steppenwolf's motivation, because before he was just like a minion of Darkseid. He was just there to wreck shit up and report back to his master, and I don't think Darkseid even got mentioned. But
Darkseid is mentioned a few times, but you never see him.
Never see him. But here, though, it turns out he was a loyal servant of Darkseid, but then he lost his favor. He, betrayed him and stuff, and he's like, I'm so sorry I was bad. Please put me back on the nice list instead of the naughty list. And Darkseid...
He's a Darkseid simp.
He is a Darkseid simp. And Desard...
We said that he wants to hate fuck Darkseid. That his whole motivation is that he wants to hate fuck Darkseid.
Punish me, daddy! And Desard, who looks nothing like Desard, I would like to point out. I've always kind of liked Desard's because he's got that Jonah Hex gloopy half of his face. Not in this movie. But Desard is just if you want to earn our master's favor, you've got to conquer some worlds for us. Okay, how many? Try 50,000. How about one? Not good enough.
One, but it's also the one you lost, so it's the big one.
And this is the whole thing. That's what's great. It's a little thing. It doesn't really matter that much because, it's Steppenwolf. It's still not great. But it adds an extra level of detail. This is why he's so committed to gathering the mother boxes. This is why he's so relentless in his pursuit, because it's all about him reclaiming his place in a hierarchy that he tried to get away from and failed, and it's all he knows. It's really good. And so in terms of character and CGI, this is very much a case of
upgrades, people, upgrades.
It worked that time. Fuck yeah.
There you go.
So he goes to Themyscira and tries to get the mother box. And the Amazons, they were there in the original movie. Here, they're not there. They're there. Because the Queen Hippolyta is okay, everyone, we need to defend the mother box from this guy. And all the Amazons are just we're going to die, aren't we? And she's probably yes. And they're you know what? We're okay with that if it means safeguarding the whole world. And then she calls out to the Amazons Amazons! And they're they all scream in unison, we have no fear! And
he says something about fear, and she says, show them your fear. And he's we don't have fear.
It's so cool. And the whole sequence is extended with them trying to get out of the place where they have the mother box, getting the mother box away from Steppenwolf, knowing that several Amazons sacrificed their lives in order to make sure he didn't get the mother box, including one who died from having a horse on top of her, kind of low down on her. If it was on her chest or something, I could see her die from that, but it's just on her legs.
I think it's on her stomach. I think it crushed her, crushed everything down there, and she bled out. Maybe she was not getting immediate medical attention. She had to sit there and wait for a while.
I had to bring it up because she seemed fine a few seconds ago. She's hey, my queen, little help, please, and then just dead.
This scene is fucking brutal. The original one was all right, they're all getting thrown around, but it's a whole. It's it wasn't as detailed a battle scene. Every 5 seconds, Steppenwolf is flipping horses. He's just grabbing them and throwing horses at another horse. It's holy shit, this man.
And the Amazons give as good as they get.
Oh yeah, they're the fighting against parademons is fucking brutal. It's this is why it's R.
Do you know, I was about to say, I wish we had gotten an Amazon TV series, not Amazon Prime, these Amazons. But technically we did, because we mentioned Xena earlier. There was an attempt to do an Amazon's spin-off of Xena. They did a backdoor pilot in one of the episodes, and it never came to anything. So we kind of already got that for an episode. And so it's oh shit, this is bad. We need to go and get someone to sort all this out. Who's the only Amazon that sorts shit out? Well, there is that one. Is she still around? Nope, she's not going to be around until the 1980s. Isn't that before now? Just call Diana.
No, don't think about it.
just call Diana. And you can really see the difference between Diana in this movie, Diana in Justice League, Diana in Batman vs Superman, Diana Wonder Woman, and Diana Wonder Woman 1984. It's
a little bit disjointed because they don't know what's happening with her at any given time.
No.
But the calling her scene, in the original, it was just arrow flying through the sky hits whatever. That's it. She saw it on TV. She understands what that means. But this is a ceremony. This is like a whole thing. We get to context on what this arrow is. It's Athena, or it's Artemis's arrow, and it's going to burn until Diana sees it, because that's what it's supposed to be. We know the temple that it lands in is the temple of the Amazons. And so it's a much more direct message. Hey, Diana, guess what? You need to go here and figure this shit out.
This is a priority message, Diana. Sort shit out. And
she also doesn't immediately know what's going on. She doesn't know about Darkseid. She, like, in the original movie, she knows everything already, and she just immediately goes and tells Bruce. In this, she has to, like, go down and, like, read the history and look into what's going on. Be like, oh, okay, I never learned about this. Now that I know this, I'm going to go tell everyone.
And I wish they got to that sooner, rather than having her waste her time defeating Roose Bolton in that bank.
That was just her introduction. I understand. Like that.
That sequence, even in this version, went on for so long, and just have her step in and solve a bank robbery. Don't turn into this whole big thing that could have been like the first act of her own movie. And this is what I hate about this movie. This is trying to compensate for not giving some of these characters their own movies. With Wonder Woman, that's less of an issue, but with Cyborg, with Flash, it really fucking shows.
Flash, I don't think that much, because I think like the added context for a lot of the characters really goes to Cyborg and Batman, who are never going to get their own movies. But Flash, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, they kind of they get their starting context, but not much else, because they already have their movies or are going to have movies.
Yeah. And it's this point we get into part 2, The Age of Heroes. Part 1 was called Don't Count on It, Batman. This is The Age of Heroes. And one thing I do love about, just going back a little bit, about the whole fire burning thing, as soon as I saw that, I immediately screamed out to myself in the middle of my flat, "The beacons are lit! Themyscira calls for aid!" And moving on aside from that, Steppenwolf then goes to, I thought it was Chernobyl, but it's not Chernobyl. It's another place that might as well be Chernobyl.
I think it's a fictional Chernobyl, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Americans call it Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Stop
pronunciations.
Didn't you
the name
see
of the show? I'm going to go with it.
Didn't you see all those Russian/Ukrainian people in the HBO show that had English accents? I think
I didn't watch it, but it was called Chernobyl.
Whatever. Moving on. And so meanwhile, while that's going on, we get a couple of scenes. I don't want to go over every single individual scene, but I do want to point some stuff out. We get a couple of scenes with Silas Stone. Now, there's one character from the original Justice League movie that gets expanded on the most. I'd say the biggest contender is probably Silas Stone.
So Victor and Silas, and like everyone at Starlight, like Victor, Silas, and Ryan Choi, who like wasn't even mentioned.
They put Ryan Choi in there.
Yeah.
One of the few DC characters that I actually like in the movie. He's played by who's he played by? God, there's so many fucking people in this movie. Ryan Zheng. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. What did we think of his performance?
I mean, he was there. He did a pretty good job for being a character that's just supposed to be there. Yeah.
I thought he did a good job. I found a lot of his lines were delivered in not a bad way, but a slightly odd way. I think that might be... He is a Chinese actor, so there may be some sort of... Well, not a language barrier. He clearly speaks English very well. It's just a certain
It's probably just like the accent maybe just was...
I don't think it is the accent, though. The accent, I think, was fine. It was just like the intonation and just like the cadence of some of the sentences.
Yeah, I think that comes from... like learning the language in a context that wasn't like native, like that happens with a lot of people that don't speak English, is that their native language influences how they say things in English, not like accent wise, but just like in intonation and pronunciation. That's how and like cadence and stuff. It gets put in there, and it kind of gets all lumped together.
I mean, the reason why I bring this up is because I thought to myself, okay, either A, this was intentional, like they told that actor to play it like that, or B, that's just how that actor speaks in English. And either way, I actually kind of liked it because Ryan Choi is from China, at least as far as I remember in the comics. And also, I like the fact that they include an Asian actor that maintains like not his accent necessarily, but although he does have the accent, but they weren't afraid to do that, because a lot of the times when Asian people in particular are portrayed on screen, it's very sanitized, very anglicized.
They are either told to play up the accent or try to hide it.
Yeah.
Which he seems like he was able to just use his natural accent. Like he wasn't told to do anything with it. It's just his voice.
Yeah, and it wasn't stereotyped. It wasn't made fun of. This was just Ryan Choi in all his sweet baby goodness. Oh, God. So that's going on. And one thing I liked about Diana discovering all this thing about Darkseid is she has to, like, use her archaeological skills. Well, I say skills. She, lights a torch, goes down into a tomb, puts an arrow on a thing, and then looks at a lovely mural of Darkseid. Yeah, it's Tomb Raider. Why the fuck not? And so what happens after that? Oh God. So we get another, this is like the third or fourth, I've lost count by this point, slow-mo shot over like a minute, just the camera just ogling Jason Momoa as the surf sprays all over him and he whips his hair back and forth because he's worth it.
I say this all the time. Everything that other male directors will do to like focus on women's bodies, Zack Snyder really only does with men. And I am so happy about it. He does it with Henry Cavill. He did it with Ben Affleck in Batman vs. Superman. He does it with Jason Momoa. Like, he's like, I know who my hot guys are, and I'm going to focus on their bodies. Like, it's very good.
Oh no, he's hot!
I mean, if Michael Bay does that to both genders equally, Zack Snyder only does it for men, and that's great. Oh God!
And Joss Whedon does it to women.
Does he though?
That boob shot wasn't in this movie. You want to know who put that one in?
Oh, the bit where Barry falls on Wonder Woman. Yeah, that was fucking stupid. No, I take that back. Fair enough. He hasn't done that in other things, but like, what the what is this? The mid-2000s? Are we still doing that? Fuck me. So, and then we get the backstory for Darkseid. Before we got a flashback to see all the armies of Earth taking down Steppenwolf. Now we see Atlanteans, human beings, Amazons, and
humans from other cultures.
Yes.
It wasn't just white people.
We see Attila the Hun, Genghis Khan type. I know there's two very different cultures.
Right. There's definitely like African leaders there, and like there's other civilizations that would have existed at the same time are there. Not just, I think it was just like all Icelandic dudes last time. Which is like, no, that's the only one that exists.
Every Nordic nation, gather your armies. We're going to fight a bad guy. What about the rest of us? Like, you stay home. You stay home. Everyone else,
basically.
Jeez, and
the gods and a Green Lantern.
Yeah, they get like Artemis and Zeus in there. Props to the guy playing Zeus.
And Ares. That was like actually Ares. It was the guy. Like I saw. It's hard to see, but it is him.
They got David Thewlis back just for that. He didn't even have any lines.
Same with Antiope. Robin Wright's in there too. Like,
I mean, this is the kind of fan service I can get behind because I don't care about these characters.
It's like fan servicey world building. It's like, yeah, that absolutely makes sense. They would be there. Of course, Ares would be so fucking down for a war against an intergalactic god. Like, fuck yeah.
His dad's there showing off his abs. You are totally right about Zack Snyder. Zeus is ripped. Why is Zeus
so hot? Like, Hippolyta? I get it, Hippolyta.
I make a baby out of clay with him any day of the week.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. Was the other version in the previous movie was scaled down dramatically, this is extended. This is both good for the fan service stuff, but also there's some weird moments. Like Darkseid comes down, and we do see Darkseid. He looks fine. He looks absolutely fine.
It looks like Darkseid.
Yeah, it looks like Darkseid. But also, sorry, are you still there?
Yeah.
Sorry, for some reason, I think one of the earphones blew out slightly. No, it's fine. But then he touches down on Earth and he starts growling. I didn't think Darkseid was kind of a growly guy. I thought he was stoic, but still rather verbose. In this, he just like growls like a monster. Why?
He can. He's allowed to.
I would much rather he just stand there stoically, just like, you're
I
not
feel
even
like
worth my notice. But he goes like, "Grr, arr, arr, arr."
If he was too, like, I think that, like, having him be a little bit more involved in, like, direct fighting and be a little bit more aggressive makes
I'm fine with
sense
that.
but, like, his personality needs to be different from Thanos. Because people have already seen Thanos at this. Like, I think that's something that maybe was a post, because Justice League was supposed to come out before, Justice League did come out before Infinity War and Endgame, but now this version of Justice League is coming out afterwards. No one wants to be accused of Darkseid just being Thanos again, which, it's the other way around.
Even though popular YouTube channel Death Battle conclusively proved that Darkseid could kick Thanos' ass. Even with the Infinity Gauntlet, so just putting that out there,
right? I mean, like it's just a like he knows who's watching this movie, and I guess like Zack Snyder and DC in general are just fucking fed up with that's the thing from Marvel, and it's like, no, it's not. It's the thing from DC that Marvel took.
Are we sure about that? But anyway, I also want to point out the Green Lantern is also there, like one Green Lantern, and he gets killed. He gets killed really fucking quickly.
Really? Yeah, he was just like they reached out to the Green Lantern Corps. Was like, "Can you send someone? Because we need help." And they're like, "Sure, yeah, we'll send
one guy.
Jeff? We'll send Jeff. He's off today."
I'm gonna be a Green Lantern. I'm coming for you, Darkseid. Killed.
I mean, he wasn't a human, so it was definitely someone they sent there to help out that didn't, because they explicitly say that there's no human Green Lantern. There's no Green Lantern on Earth.
If I was the Green Lantern Corps, if I was one of the Guardians of Oa, one of the tiny blue people, and I heard that, Earth was under attack by Darkseid, who plans to turn every world into apocalypse, I might send more people, at least 5. At least 5. There's thousands upon thousands. I get you got a lot of space to police, guys, but geez, you can't spend any more people? No off-duty people? I mean, Earth ends up having like 5 ongoing Green Lanterns.
Eventually, jeez. Yeah, eventually they get it together and they're like, yeah, maybe we should put some on Earth.
But then it gets even weirder, because as quick as that Green Lantern is taken out, Darkseid gets taken out by, I swear I'm not misremembering this, one arrow.
It's from Artemis, though. Like, if it's gonna be from someone, it's gonna be from the fucking goddess of the hunt. Like,
maybe that gives it a bit more credence, but it's fucking Darkseid. Like I said,
it's the same. It's the same arrow that was used to signal Diana.
Cool.
It's super magic. It's super magic. Super god magic.
I'd like to point out again, Darkseid killed Thanos in Death Battle. Like, I'm not saying that's conclusive. I know a lot of Goku fans definitely don't consider them conclusive, but this guy's supposed to be like a fundamental part of the universe or something. I don't know. I find it very difficult to believe that he's taken out by 1 arrow. I would much rather he was like, saw his army being decimated. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to come back another day. And then he just goes away.
That's kind of what was happening, is that the armor was being decimated and he got stabbed and was like, look, this is not worth it. I'll come back later. And you guys fucking took my boxes. God damn it. Like,
oh, not my boxes. And so, yeah, that's a huge extended flashback. It's pretty damn cool. Meanwhile,
Zack Snyder's very good at war battles. He's very good at battles. These battles rule.
Oh god, yeah. And I don't know if there's anything after that, but we go over to part 3, Beloved Mother, Beloved Son. And at this point, I want to point out that Amy Adams has been cropping up every now and again in this movie, just walking around, going places
Basically.
while sad music plays. And I swear to God, if I hear one more sad song in this movie accompanying slow-mo, I'm going to kill someone or myself because it's fucking depressing. We get it, Zack Snyder. You made Sucker Punch. We've moved on. Why can't you? Then we get Barry Allen, played by Ezra. Please try and forget the fact that I assaulted a woman, Miller. They are... I've mentioned on this show before that I don't care for them, and I'm not talking about as an actor. As an actor, I think they're fine. Just as a human being, they can go fuck themselves. You don't do that to anyone. Just he grabbed a woman by the throat and pushed her to the ground. He's an absolute bastard. But, sorry, they're an absolute bastard, because they're non-binary. But, so, then we get... So, here's the thing. Barry Allen in Justice League, the original one, was one of those things that I thought was a saving grace the first time I saw it, but then I thought about it a bit longer and thought, oh no, he's just annoying. That hasn't changed. He's still annoying.
I like him. I think, like, there's very little room to have comic relief in this movie, and I think that, like, Barry
It's
does a
grim
very
as
good
fuck.
job being that. Yeah, but like it's not just grim. It's like, especially the end is like very, very hopeful. But like, it's serious. It's like this is a serious situation. We need to take it seriously. We're not going to just like be joking while we're fighting a god. But like Barry's instinct is coping mechanism is comedy, and I think Barry does a very good job at like. Is there sometimes where it's like Barry, just shut up. Please just shut up right now because we're doing something very serious. But there's other times where it's like, yeah, that was needed. Thank you. Thanks, Barry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just the material or just Ezra Miller's performance. I don't know. It's just, sometimes it is funny, but it grates on me more often than not, especially after Justice League. I don't know. And we're introduced to him when he's applying for a job at a pet store, a dog walker. I don't know exactly what it is. But then there's a car crash behind him and Iris... Presumably, I think it's been confirmed that is Iris.
Kiersey Clemons is Iris in the upcoming Flash movie.
I mean, good. I'm very glad about that. But motherfucker, you cast Kiersey Clemons in your movie and you don't give her any lines? How dare you? But then, car crash.
She didn't even fucking exist in the original one.
Okay, I'll pick my battles. I'll take what I can get. So then there's a car crash behind him, and she's like, oh no, fly through the air. And then Barry slows down time. He taps the glass of the door and goes through it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's an excellent effect. That looks really good. And then he goes up to her and it's like, oh, so that's why Flash is in this movie. Even more slow motion. Clearly. God, it's just like male abs and slow motion. That's what revs Zack Snyder's engine.
Hell yeah.
But it's like, okay, cool, because it's the Flash. Okay, this is going to be cool. He's going to save Iris. And he does save her from a hot dog after, gazing at her in midair and stroking her face and her hair.
That was weird. It was very weird. But I did appreciate him like bringing her down. Like he can't just grab her. Like I've seen other like speedsters and other things just grab people. It's like you gotta let them down gently because you are gonna snap their neck if you just grab.
At the very best case scenario, give them whiplash. But yeah, I can see him doing that. I'm fine with him doing that. But he spends a good solid minute just bad touching this person who they just made eyes just like as he was walking the door, and she couldn't stop staring at him. Like I get it, Kiersey Clemons. Ezra Miller is rather beautiful in a weird kind of way. But you know what? Just you stop being a little bit of a creep, and Barry, you definitely stop being a creep. Jesus. And just stop wasting time and actually save her. That's happening, and while that's going on, we get a bit more of Vic Stone. Like I said, Silas Stone gets a lot of expansion, as does Victor Stone. In Justice League, I did not like Victor Stone. In Zack Snyder's Justice League, I find him don't want to say tolerable, because I actually like him a lot more than that. He's not quite where I wanted to be, but he's still good.
I'm gonna hard disagree. I think he's the best part of this movie. He is. Ray Fisher fucking knocks it out of the park. Like, the emotion is so fucking raw every time he's on screen. Everything he is the core heart of this movie, and like hard disagree that there's anything wrong with him. I love him.
I understand where you're coming from, and to be perfectly honest, I kind of agree. I do think he's a massive improvement. I do think he's probably one of the best, if not the best thing about the movie. There was some things, mainly in the beginning, that I didn't like. So here's the thing. We get a great expansion on Victor's backstory. It turns out, in addition to being a football player, he was also a bit of a prodigy, and I loved this. I absolutely loved this. This was a great, small, but still a great thing. He hacked into like the school's grading system, Ferris Bueller style, to change a classmate's grade because her father had died or her parents had died, and she was grieving and was, suffering in school because of it. And administration was just like, "Oh, we don't like that at all." And his mum, who constantly turns up to his football games, even though his dad doesn't. It's like, he did that to help that person because he's a good person. What have you been doing to help her? And it's like, oh, I like this character. I hope nothing bad happens to her.
Eleanor is fantastic. She's fantastic in everything she shows up in. She's great in Doom Patrol. She's great in this. Yeah, Eleanor Stone is sad times.
Big time sad times. And then, of course, we see how she died, how Victor Stone was going to die, and his father, overcome with grief, used the mother box to build him a cyborg body, as you do. And here's the thing. I think, personally, and feel free to dispute me on this, what they should have done was focus at this point on examining why Victor hates his father. Is it because he put him in a cyborg body? Or is it giving him another shot at life? Or is it because he blames him for his mother's death? They kind of do both, and they really needed to do one.
I don't think so. Like there is, when you have it's never going to, it's very real. It's never going to just be one thing. There is so many emotions and reasons why he is mad at his father that they are very explicit about all of those reasons or most of those reasons. But even Victor is like this happened to him and he didn't leave his dad's apartment. He still wants to be there for his father, who is also grieving. And he's still he is conflicted. He's conflicted about his dad, which is perfectly reasonable. He is all of it feels very real. It doesn't need to be spelled out for us because it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. It's a family thing.
I mean, I get where you're coming from, and you're right, but this is one of the things that I think should have been explored in a cyborg movie before this one. That's what I wanted. I know we're not going to get that, but like I said, Ray Fisher deserves an opportunity.
Absolutely. To do that.
Yeah, and like I said, that's probably not going to happen. At least not with Ray Fisher. More's the pity. But you know what? There's still a happy ending. Well, not a happy ending for Ray Fisher, but he got a chance to show how good a cyborg he actually was. And I think he more than deserved that. And we did get that. I have a few issues here and there, but honestly, they're nitpicks. To be perfectly honest, they're nitpicks. Now let's talk about the CGI for Cyborg. In Justice League, it was utterly, utterly garbage. Here, it's serviceable.
Yeah, it's hard to do the push from in full motion. They probably should have done something like Doom Patrol, where it's just partial and it's very obvious practical. He's just wearing a metal suit over his body.
But you could use CGI to enhance that metal suit and show inner workings, gears and widgets working around, combined with the practical effects. Because that's what CGI does best. It enhances certain small things. And but I'm picking my battles. The CGI I can live with. At first,
for only having a quarter of his face gone to work with acting wise, fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And honestly, the face probably looks the best integrated out of all the CGI on his body now. Before it was the worst, but this is the best. Shows what you can do when you know what you're doing.
Time. Yeah.
And then his father leaves him a tape recorder. Side note, who still uses tape recorders, Silas?
Old scientist man. Silas Stone.
Was a gramophone not available? I don't know. And so he teaches him through the tape recorder because Victor just does not want to talk to him right now about how to use his new cyborg things. And did Silas know this was going to happen? Did he plan this, or did he just figure it out? I don't know. This again.
It seems like it's been a year because I think they imply it's been a year. So I think Silas has been working for a year to kind of figure out how this stuff works and interacts with human technology.
Again, it just feels it feels front loaded as fuck. But again, there's a saving grace. I keep on using that phrase, but it really applies to this movie. There's a lot of saving graces. He uses his hacking ability, his data stream, which is a side power of Cyborg that often gets overlooked and stuff. Especially in the last movie, and he discovers he can access to basically all the world's information at his fingertips, and his dad's this is going to be easy. What's going to be hard is using this power responsibly, or indeed not using it. What's the first thing Victor does with this power?
He gives a woman $100,000 who deserves it. I love it.
A struggling, I think, single mother who's been evicted from her apartment.
Yeah, she has a kid next to her, and she almost swears and is covering her mouth. But oh my god, that was so good.
And also he sees her take some spare change from the restaurant where she works, but she doesn't keep it. She gives it to a busker, and it's he sees a little bit of good in this person who's struggling so much, and he gives her something to help her turn her life around because he knows she'll use it properly, but also because he's going to use this power for the better. And I remember he's a very good boy. And I remember earlier in this movie when he was just sort of moping around his father's apartment, I was thinking to myself, in Doom Patrol by this point, Victor Stone was going around being a vigilante and helping people and taking down bad guys. What's this Victor Stone doing? I'll tell you what he's doing. He's doing good things. He's putting it forward.
Yeah, he's doing good things, but he's really, you can see in this scene, he's really excited that he gets to see this woman very happy. He turns around and people are staring at him. And so he pulls up his hood and slouches back down and is all right, that was enough for today.
And
he's a sad good boy.
He's a very sad good boy. And again, this is just something that I really would like to see expanded upon. And they do expand it upon, but honestly, even with the best will in the world, even if this was 5 hours long, he has to share a lot of the time with other characters. So you can't, you can't make it unbalanced. I get it. I really do. But meanwhile, after that, we get, oh God. So we meet a couple of people. Arthur Curry meets Volko, played by Willem Dafoe.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
He wasn't in the original movie, was he? No, he wasn't.
No, he was credited. There's a lot of people that were credited but weren't in it because contractually they had to be credited because they filmed scenes with them. But he and Robin Wright were two of those people.
And there was just basically okay, Arthur, you need to get your shit together. Become part of Atlantis. Your brother, he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. There's a darkness coming. Get your shit together and sort it all out. I know you're all upset because your wife left you to become a Khaleesi and Mother of Dragons, all that shit. But you've got responsibilities. And it's so nice to see Willem. I love Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe he's a great guy and he's a lovely actor. And his role in this movie is limited, but it's nice to see him.
That's pretty much it. This is the only scene he's in, and he encourages Arthur to stop fucking wearing the swim jeans. That drove us nuts. The whole time we were watching this, it's you take off your shirt, but you're wearing jeans. Arthur,
that's going to chafe. Oh no,
it'll be so bad. Take off the jeans.
For context's sake, I mentioned before on the show that I used to do the Duke of Edinburgh Award one time when I was out doing that, hiking through Wales. And this was when we were getting to the tail end of a hurricane coming off the Atlantic Ocean. And so I was walking in not jeans, but a similar material. The rain came through so quick we didn't have time to get our waterproofs on. Trousers were instantly soaked through. the chafing, I won't even
Mhm.
tell you. And that's without him actually wearing jeans and being submerged in water for time. I mean, I know he shaves, but my God, man. Anyway, that happens. Then we get that scene with Barry Allen and Bruce in his lair. Okay, Barry,
That's almost 1-to-1 the same scene as the original.
it's almost one to one same, but I'd like to point out something. They establish in this movie, I think, that Barry is now getting like 4 jobs to pay for his criminal justice degree.
Mhm.
And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, okay, Barry, you have 4 jobs, but you're able just to afford, your tuition and stuff like that. But you're able to afford like this whole warehouse lair with like 50
I have
million.
a feeling all of that is stolen. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's all stolen.
You know what? That's a very good explanation. Oh, Barry, you are a naughty boy. I mean, I know it's a
Like, how does he get materials to make his suit? Because he made his own suit. Where did he get that from?
No Star Labs in this universe. Jesus.
Yeah, there is Star Labs. It's just not for him. It's for Silas.
Yeah.
Silas is a Star Labs.
Also, I'd like to point out one other thing from early in the movie when he was in the pet store going to save Iris. He turns around in slow motion and his feet burst out of his shoes.
That's fucking cool. Yeah, it's like it's a reason for why he absolutely needs this suit.
It was really, really cool. Like, I expected things to catch fire, but no, he just rips out of the seams. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But, and then, like I said, we get that scene. It's basically 1-to-1. I don't really care that much. Although I will say, this time around, I noticed in the background on some of the screens, they were playing Rick and Morty.
That was the original too. I remember seeing people talking about that, and I was like, oh, I wonder if it's still there. It's still there.
Yep, still. I mean, you're not going to have Rick and Morty in your movie? I would. And, oh, God. So, yeah, that all happens. Meanwhile, then Batman and Diana was like, okay, we need to bring everyone together. And one thing I like about this is there's still a little bit of like awkward tension between Bruce and Diana in this movie, but they left out that scene where they spoon or they have a really deep conversation.
No, yeah, they have a deep because the whole movie in the original one, Bruce is like antagonizing her about Steve for no reason. And like it's just the like, whoa, maybe Bruce and Diana will get together, and it's like, no, I hate that. Leave them alone.
The only reason why they included that at all is because they were kind of a thing in the animated Justice League cartoon. Here's the thing, though. That made sense in that story because they built up the relationship over time, and these two characters, the way they were written, worked very well. These two characters, I mean, I like Gal Gadot, I like Ben Affleck, but I don't feel it. I don't care.
No, yeah, they're like there's this movie more than the original has a real sense of like actual understanding of relationships between these people. Like you understand that Diana and Bruce really have a professional relationship, whereas like Barry and Vic and Arthur are all friends. And even Arthur and Diana, like they're very professional, but they also kind of relate to each other. Like there's a really good, like, we are kind of forced to be together because we have to, but we do also kind of like each other.
Well, that's actually just a very good point you bring that up, because they do have much nicer conversations in this movie than the previous one, but it's mainly all business. And I get why, because the world's about to end. You know, you're not going to really chat about the weather. But one thing I would have liked to have seen a bit more of, which we kind of got in the previous version, but it wasn't very good, was... In fact, it was terrible, to be perfectly honest. I still remember that graveyard scene. Oh, fucking hell. But what I would have really liked is to see a few of them just, shoot the breeze, talk about...
Diana and Arthur got a little bit of that. Where he was like, I don't like Atlanteans either. And she was like, hate is useless. We don't have, like, don't talk about how much you hate your family. I don't care. Like, let's talk about, like, how we should work together and not hate each other.
Do you like shawarma? I mean, I would have liked to see more stuff like that. That was a good example. I think if there's one thing this movie lacked, it was scenes like that. We needed a little bit more than that. If you're going to have a 4-hour-long movie, dedicate a bit of your runtime to scenes like that. Establish the more personal dynamics, rather than just show that these guys kind of like each other. I mean, it's better than before, like I said, and I'd much rather they did that than mindlessly fight each other just for the sake of conflict. But yeah, I could have used them maybe being a bit more like friendly. But then again, the Justice League, much more the Avengers, was always much more of an alliance for the sake of convenience. Like, they got on, but it was very much like, okay, we're here, for work. We're work friends. That doesn't mean we're not friends, but we're work friends. So they're like, okay, we've identified all these people. We need to get out there and get them in. I failed with Arthur Curry, so I'll try that again. Meanwhile, Diana, you go and recruit Cyborg. Then we get the most edgelordiest, edgy thing I've ever heard in a movie, and I'm including all those terrible mid-2000s movies again, where everything was just like dark and brooding, where Diana's like, Cyborg, we need to help save the world. And Cyborg's like, fuck the world.
Yeah, he says fuck. We're like, who let him say fuck? He's not allowed to say fuck.
Oh, that is a no-no word. It's so petty. It's so juvenile, and it's so
the conversation that Diana has too. Like she's not having it. She's like, no, okay, you reached out to me. You wanted me to meet. Clearly, you're not fuck the world. Like, get over it. Like, you're clearly not in that mindset. Actually.
I understand Victor being reluctant. I understand him being hesitant. I understand him maybe having some trust issues. Victor Stone would never miss the call to action because he is a hero. Even this version. I mean, he just helped that woman with $100,000. And yet he's going to let the whole world burn? No, it's stupid. It's broodiness for the sake of broodiness. And honestly, there are too many broody characters in this movie. With the exception of Diana and Barry, at one time point or another, all the other characters are broody grimdarks. It's really frustrating. Yes, they are.
No. Scott, you have this idea of them in your head, and you keep projecting it onto them that isn't there. They are not like, especially Bruce. Bruce is like the biggest one that people complain about all the time being so broody. He's not in this movie.
Actually, that is a good point. Yeah,
he is very like this is jumping way ahead, but his conversation with Alfred, where he's like, "Is Superman going to show up?" I think he's going to show up, and Alfred's like, "How can you think?" He's like, "I've got faith," and he's like smiling as he like backs into the plane. Like I
gotta have faith.
Right. He spent all of last movie in mourning and upset and angry, realized that attitude got Superman fucking killed. And so this whole movie is him making up for that. Being like, I am going to make an active decision to no longer wallow in myself shit, and I am going to help the world. And that's why this whole movie exists, is because like he gets them all together to make sure that there is hope for this world.
Yeah, that is a good point. I'm only projecting a tiny bit, and I've earned that projection. I've suffered for years, so I've earned a little bit of projection. I'm still healing. I need time. But you're absolutely right. I mean, there is still a bit of unnecessary brooding from some of the characters in this movie. Aquaman does it quite a bit, but then he occasionally gets a funny line because Jason Momoa is just oozing charisma, and you can't not give him occasionally a funny line. It's illegal. You just can't. But he refuses to join them. Victor refuses, but then, oh no! Victor's father and a lot of other Star Labs employees are kidnapped by parademons because they smell the mother box on them.
But right before this, I think Steppenwolf gets the Atlantis mother box.
Yes, he fights Mira, and I'm so glad we have two abusive arseholes in this movie. I know.
Whole mess.
I'm not going to go into it. I don't want to go into it, although it's something that needs to be gotten into. We're not here for that. Again, picking our battles. So Mira fights Steppenwolf. She fails. Blah blah blah. Arthur Curry.
But she holds her own. The fact that there's like 4 guys there, and she's able to hold off Steppenwolf for a while until Arthur gets there. It's pretty damn good, Mira. Holy shit.
Yeah, and oh god. So now Steppenwolf has got 2 mother boxes. But that's not all. He discovers something on Earth. The location of anti-life. Bum, bum, bum.
He has a dream that the anti-life equation was imprinted on the planet. Uh-oh.
You know what? I have a dream. A dream where you guys listen to some ads. And we're back. Did you enjoy that? So did we. Moving on. So, Steppenwolf has, as we said, 2 mother foxes, and Curry and Stone just like, oh shit, we need to get our act together. We need, some help though. We need to know where these people are. Who could possibly know that? Oh my god, it's J.K. Simmons, here to save the day.
Yep, he's here. I mean, I remember he was in the original one, but I had, I guess, forgotten that he's Jim Gordon.
He was in one scene, and they didn't.
He's still in one scene. He's still like all he does is talk to a guy and then go on the roof and talk to everyone.
Okay,
that's it.
He's in 2 scenes, a scene and a half at least. So it's a step up,
and they're back to back.
Oh god!
I'm sure he was supposed to get more in the Batgirl movie, but that's not happening.
I don't even get. You know what? Other people can do that movie. You don't need Joss Whedon. Get Gail Simone to write it. I don't care. Someone.
Exactly.
Emerald Fennella. Jeez. So, and this is part 4, Change Machine. And so now they've got to go and rescue all the hostages. It's at this point I started to get a little bit fatigued. Is this like halfway through the movie, a bit before?
It's a little bit before half. I think like after this scene is when we took our break. But this scene, it's longer, but this scene did exist in the original. It's the Strikers Island.
Yeah. See, I'm a masochist, so I can't take breaks. I did this all in one go. It was really fucking annoying. And so they go to this place underneath Gotham Harbor, where people there are being tortured for evidence of the mother box, including by
Howard.
Sorry,
there's at the very beginning of the movie, the guy who gets kidnapped from Star Labs, his name is Howard, and we only know that because we had subtitles on. And so the whole movie we're like, Howard! And he's still alive, he's still with that grip, and we're like, we gotta make sure Howard's okay.
Howard must be protected. Save him from the holographic spider bot thing.
It's Starro.
That's Starro?
Yeah. I mean, it's not I don't think it's its own thing. I don't think Starro is its own race of alien in this thing. But that's very clear. It's pink, and it's like a crab. That's absolutely Starro.
Starro's a starfish.
Well, it's like a star thing, but it's pink. It's like pink with the purple middle. It's Starro. It's a technological version of Starro. It's absolutely a reference to Starro. And it does the same. It doesn't do the exact the same thing, but it does go into their brains and get all their memories out.
Here's me on the scale of caring. I'm at 0.
I don't buy it. I do.
I think it's a Starro reference.
You hold on to that headcanon with all your might, Alex. Go get them. So they realize that they need to grab these people, and I'm glad they cut out the bit where Batman tells Barry Allen to save one person.
I actually like that. I was kind of bummed that it was gone, because that was a very clear, okay, I've worked with new heroes before, and I know how to help them through their first mission.
I like that aspect of it, but also at the same time, and this is the problem with this movie as well, Barry is rather inconsistent with his powers. And here's the thing, if he was constantly messing up right until the very end, I would get it. If he was constantly in control of his powers, I would get it. But he goes from knowing what he's doing to not knowing what he's doing, and his power levels sort of fluctuating, seemingly at random. And if they threw in a line saying, I'm still getting a hold of these powers, I don't know how they work, and it seems like
it doesn't seem like it's the powers for me. For me, I read that as his stress levels. And it's something that he's explicit about. He's still not a big fighter. He's just a runner. He'll stop people from car accidents, and he'll stop a burglar, but he's never fought fucking space monsters.
Yeah, I suppose it's a big step up from Captain Boomerang.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because he did actually explicitly fight Captain Boomerang in this universe. I fucking forgot about that.
I think this movie forgot that too. But anyway, so they get everyone out. Victor saves his dad. That's a whole thing. There's a nice scene afterwards where like government people are just like, okay, we need to put you all into quarantine. He's like, yeah, I know. I wrote the protocols. Relax. It's fine.
Oh, they explain. You can see where the scene was was just shoved in of Barry falling into Diana's chest. Like it's when he touches the he gives her the sword back and then he trips and like breaks his ankle and falls. In the original version, he falls on top of her. In this version, he just lands real hard. He broke his ankle, and Diana, like superhero, lands and keeps moving. They like they land in totally different places, but I was like, oh no, here it comes, and it didn't happen. I was like, oh thank God.
It's like you see a car like in the middle of the highway and you see like two turnings, just like, which way is it going to go? Is it going to go into sexist cliche off junction, or is it going to go keep on into normal fucking movie lane?
Yeah, and it's like it even proves how unnecessary it was. They like it was literally a totally added, contrived thing because like Barry falling was still part of the movie, and he does break his ankle, but like. He does like it's not. He doesn't need to take Diana down with him. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's
still mad. I'm gonna be forever mad about that.
I'm still mad about it. It was out of nowhere. It wasn't even in keeping with the rest of the movie. It was just something that was there, just like lol boobs. Like,
yep, basically.
No, it's fucking stupid. Not even Doll's House stooped that low. Although, in fairness, I do like Doll's House. Shut up, it's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. Anyway, so there's not really much more we can say about that, aside from those few changes, and I think maybe a bit more emphasis on the spider tank bot thing. It's basically the same scene as the previous movie. Arthur Curry comes in and helps hold back the water. Was that one of his powers? He's got
that's something that consistently everyone's been like able to hold back the water in some way to be able to talk to each other, which I don't think was in Aquaman, but was in this movie. So
these movies are so disconnected and inconsistent. It's not even funny anymore. But so they live to fight another day. They go away into one of Bruce's hideouts and just like, okay, we need to get that mother box. And they go into it a bit more, like how it's sentient technology. I think this is when they get, or maybe that was earlier, when they get the explanation of Darkseid and everything he did. But one interesting analogy they use is like, if you light a match and burn a house down, you turn the house into smoke, but a mother box turns the smoke back into a house. And Bruce Wayne's immediate reaction is necromancy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he spent the whole movie like trying to like make it up to Superman. If he could just bring Superman back, hell yeah!
I was thinking
problem solved.
He's one bad day away from a satanic ritual. He's going all Gideon the Ninth on this bitch.
He's so excited about bringing back his boyfriend,
and everyone else is just like either massively against it or too eager to go along with it. It's really weird. And then we get our obligatory cutaway to Lois Lane, and she's met by Martha. Now, we saw Martha Kent, that is, not Martha Wayne. Let's make that very clear, because they're so similar, you know. They both have the same name. We saw earlier Martha Kent, Ma Kent, if you will, driving away from the Kent farm because it's been foreclosed upon. Oh, no. And then we see her catch up with Lois, who's been moping around the movie this whole time. It's just like, hey, Lois, you need to, I get you the grieving, but you need to join the land of the living, because Clark wouldn't want you to grieve forever. He'd want you to move on with your life at some point. It doesn't mean you won't miss him. It just means that, you're living your life. And I thought this is a really nice scene. Diane Lane and Amy Adams are giving good performances. It's very nice. It's very nice. Then Ma Kent leaves, and she turns into fucking Martian Manhunter.
I was thinking like, what? Like,
why? What? So, a bucket load of why? Let's break this shit down. One, why is Martian Manhunter all of a sudden grief counseling Lois Lane? I get that he's like been masquerading as this general guy.
Yeah, this general who's like actual friend. Like this is something that I wish was more expanded upon, and very obviously was supposed to be the sequel bait. But like, my interpretation of it was he has been growing as good friends with Lois. That's something that, because they've worked together for so long, as he's been like her source in the government and all that, and he was in Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel. But
I forgot he was in Batman vs Superman. So.
Yeah, he's in in both movies. He's the guy that like talks to her about the like weird bullet. But so he's like always been around. So it is really cool that like, oh, that guy's Martian Manhunter. Or fuck yeah, it's the person that we know. It's not just some rando coming out of nowhere. And he says like later on when they actually give him something to do, he says like, I have a reason to care about Earth now. And I think the implication is that's Lois. Like, I don't think there's anything romantic. I think he just legitimately is a very good friend of Lois and realizes that like Lois is if Lois is very important to me, obviously like humans have value. I should help them instead of just hiding in the shadows all the time. But that's very weird.
That makes a lot of sense. That's not how it come across in the movie. And so if that was the case, why didn't he just come as this general persona? Why did he have to pretend to be Mark Kent?
I don't think the implication is that Lois has been shutting everyone out. I don't think she would shut out Martha. Like, if they haven't spoken in so long, I don't think she would have kept talking to Martha. I don't think she would have talked to him.
If we had gotten a scene earlier where this, again, the general persona tried to contact her and she shut him out, and so then he resorted to going to Mark Kent, that would make a bit more sense, but then it'll be another scene of Lois Lane moping, and I don't think I could quite handle that. For me, I understand if it's fine for other people. For me, it came right the fuck out of nowhere. And then you see him transform into Martian Manhunter. And side note, the CGI is like one step above the TV Martian Manhunter from Supergirl. It's not fantastic. But I imagine that'll be really confusing, because here's the thing. We've seen this general character before. Okay, fine. I may not have remembered that, but other people will do. That's fine. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. But I hate when fan service turns into homework. And DC is a worst offender at this, because whilst sometimes they do little references and stuff that are just, like cool little asides, a lot of the time they assume that people have read the comics, and that's not fair. Yes, you want to... This is why I say this is a movie for DC fans, for Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League fans, because if you were someone, maybe you look like a young kid who wants to see this movie, I get with the rating that might be a bit difficult, but if you're a young kid who isn't familiar with any of these characters, because a lot of kids are introduced to characters like this through movies, seeing this general guy turn into a big green person would be really confusing, and not in a good way.
I would agree with you if that was the only time he ever showed up in this movie.
That is a good point. We'll save that.
He does actually explain himself later on in the movie.
Oh god, we can't skip ahead. And so that leads us into part 5. God, we're only on part 5. All the King's Horses. Again, I'm really glad they cut out the slightly racially charged interaction between Flash and Cyborg at Superman's grave. It was awkward, uncomfortable, and unpleasant.
The conversation they actually have is awkward, but it's awkward because they're digging up a dead man, and they're like, this is weird, right? This is really weird.
But it's also kind of sweet, because Flash says that Superman was his hero, and they say, we could do this in like a fraction of a second, but they agree to dig him out normally by hand, also as a mark of respect for him. And that was a small detail that I really liked.
Right, yeah.
Oh, God, and then we get another scene with Lois just doing nothing! She does nothing. She keeps giving coffee to these police officers and hanging out by the Superman Memorial. And other than that, she just does nothing.
I think this one was just like, because it was set up earlier, that's something that she does. When you see her walking with coffee, you know that's where she's going.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, she's going to be there.
I feel I don't begrudge her being in the movie. I just wish that they utilized her more effectively rather than just reminding us that she's a character in the movie. And Here's the thing.
Oh, she also took a pregnancy test.
Yes!
Love that.
Focus on that! Are we going to lead into this new Superman and Lois CW show? I saw the first episode. I do not want to see a second episode. Just saying.
That's how I feel about all CW shows.
They inevitably decline. Like, they'll be saying, oh, that first episode was really good. This is a really cool show. And I like the fact that they're doing things differently, but it's inevitably going to decline and become a stock CW show because that's all they know how to do. When are you going to learn, CW fans? Anyway. And then we start to see her, and this is where it gets slightly interesting, start to see her begin to move on. Whilst the Justice League are planning to resurrect him. This is just cruel. Just making her go through all that grieving, her start to pull herself together and move on with her life. Still grieving, but still, being an active participant in her own life. And then they bring back Superman, and it's already, oh god, it feels. I know they're trying to do a good thing, but it feels slightly cruel. Anyway, they grab the mother box from. Because we saw earlier Cyborg burying it in his own grave. That was a really good scene, to be perfectly honest. I like that.
Definitely.
And they grab Superman's body, and they take it to the Kryptonian ship kept at Star Labs. And the whole thing about, like, should we do this? Should we not do this? Oh, they're going to do it. And they bring him back. I don't know why. Wonder Woman keeps calling him Kal-El.
The interstitial cuts with Silas I thought was really weird because it made me think that there was something wrong with Silas. That there was like oh, they're actually doing Starro and he's being possessed or something. But no, it just ended up being that Silas was confused about what this alien alert is, and it just happens to be like if they had cut everything with Silas except for him on the phone and then seeing Vic and being like, never mind, it's not a false alarm, and like being supportive of his son, then that's it. Then I'm fine with that. Then like that's all you needed.
Why was he freaking out so much? Worst case scenario, like he said, it's a false alarm and you have to spend a couple of minutes outside in the parking lot. Who cares?
Exactly.
What are the stakes here, Silas?
I don't know. Maybe because he thinks Steppenwolf is going to be back and he's like worried that security-wise getting everyone out would be a problem. But who knows?
And so they activated. Barry Allen jumpstarts it using the same logic like you would to jumpstart a car. And Superman is resurrected. Oh, Jesus, Clark. But oh no, he doesn't remember who he is. We get this whole scene again. It's kind of cool, kind of stupid. I am still never going to forgive the contrived, oh no, my auto-defense system that has never been activated before or since, or never even referenced before or since, is now causing us to have a contrived fight. Ugh. And then Wonder Woman uses the lasso on Clark. I nearly called it a lasso. It's not a lasso, it's a lasso. And the lasso of Hestia just does fucking anything now. Makes you tell the truth, astray. Like, it's what can't it do? I bet it can give you like instant noodles.
I don't understand what you mean.
Well, because like she tries to use the lasso on Superman to make him remember who he is.
I think it's more like I'm going to make you tell the truth so you can hear it for yourself. So you know what the truth is. Because right now you can't really remember what the truth is. If you say it out loud, you'll remember because it's you saying it, not just me. But she's also saying like she's also being the very technical, like the reason why it doesn't work is because she's being, yes, technically he's the last son of Krypton. Technically he's Kal-El, but he's not really.
Are memories truth? If our memories change?
I mean, if his memories is his truth. But she chose the wrong thing to tap into, which is why it didn't work.
And I don't know why she does that. I mean, she knew that he was Clark. Why did she keep on calling him Kal-El?
It's something that's in the comics too. She calls him Kal-El, and it drives me fucking up a wall. No one calls him Kal-El except for Diana.
That's my dead name, Diana. Why are you using it? I know it's not the same, but Jesus, I mean, considering he was brought up as Clark Kent, like, if I was brought up on a name, and it turned out I was adopted, and someone, used my birth name that I don't care about and, was never called by people who I actually cared about, I'd be a little insulted. And it's not like she is Kryptonian herself and knew him when he was a baby or some shit, and knew his parents. I can understand Supergirl in some of her iterations calling him Kal-El, but Wonder Woman, why? She only ever knew him as Clark. What the fuck, Diana?
I don't know. I don't know why she does it. I hate it.
But then, the mother box has been scattered during the fight. Steppenwolf beams down. Want to beam down. And then he grabs the mother box, but then we can't because Silas grabs it. And earlier in the movie, we got a scene with him explaining to Ryan Choi about how he can use a laser to heat things up really hard. But that'll be great for popcorn. He uses that now as Victor is forced to watch on as his dad sort of crumbles.
He vaporizes himself.
Like molecule by molecule?
Yeah.
Gross.
Yep. Yeah, it's gross and very sad.
It's a very effective scene, but it's like, could you not just have him turn to ash or something? I mean, he does eventually, but not before like his skin bubbles and his eyes pop out of his socket.
It's not very long, but it is like, oh god.
oh my! It's very graphic. And can I just say, why can't Joe Morton stop dying and sacrificing himself to save the world after messing with AI and experimental technology?
This was not in the original either. Silas survives the original.
That's a very good point as well. Yeah, I remember that. But it makes more sense for him to die now because he's sacrificing himself for his son, and it adds something to Victor, and it's also like the moment where it's like they start to patch up the relationship. They could have had more time, but he does so to save his son. Well, not to save his son. It turns out, because it doesn't destroy the mother box, it turns out it heats it up so much that it allows them to track it. So there was a good purpose for it. Earlier, before that was revealed, I was like, oh, but he sacrificed himself for nothing. What was the point of that? Turns out there was a point to that. And Silas Stone has always been a bit of a Machiavellian character, but his heart has always been in the right place because he cares about his son. He just has a slightly weird way of showing it. And this was a very touching way of doing that.
Yeah.
And this leads us into part 6, the penultimate part, Something Darker. Clark and Lois go to the farm. Martha turns up. Did we have their reunion in the original one?
I think it was like a silent, like she shows up, they hug. But we got a little bit of the conversation with Clark and Lois, but it actually, I think the part of the conversation that they had was cut out of this version. Because the part of the conversation was, I don't know if I want to go back, or she says, you don't have to. She says, you don't have to go back. We can stay here together forever. And he says, no, I have to go back. It's my duty. They don't have that conversation. There's like he waits for his mom to get there, and then he's like, all right, I gotta go. Sorry, guys.
I think that's good, actually, because once they do eventually have that sort of thing, like, I gotta go, it allows them to be in the moment a bit more and just enjoy the time they have.
Yeah. The thing that was in the trailer that I was so upset was cut from the original movie that I guess that's a yes when he's like notices she's wearing the ring. Like, that was so touching for me. And like that was cut out of the original, and that's back in here, and they actually spend more time like hanging out at the house, and it's very good.
This has been your daily reminder that Henry Cavill can actually play a really good Superman if he's given an actually good script. I'm so frustrated because he's a good actor and he'd be so good in the role, but he's never really lived up to what I think Superman should be, purely because of the material he's given, not because of his acting ability.
I think this is his best outing. Like, I think like everything about Clark in this movie is the best that he has had.
Of course, he's only in it for like a quarter of the movie, but still,
he does a very good job. He killed it.
Yeah. And then we have them all, with the exception of Superman, because he's still getting his shit together, getting together. And Bruce is like, I had a dream that, Barry said that Lois was the key or something. And I'm just like, whoa, they're acknowledging the Batman versus Superman Flash time travel MacGuffin thing? That's not a completely dead plot point. I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, no, I heard about it before the movie, so that's why I was like, all right.
I had an embargo on the whole thing. Like with most movies, I don't look into like too much of the trailers or the behind the scenes stuff, so I'm not spoiled. I can just enjoy it in the moment. But yeah, I was just like, oh, cool. This is a nice little reference to that. Oh, God. And so then it's them tooling up, preparing to move out. We don't get the scene where Aquaman accidentally sits on the lasso of truth. Not sure how I feel about that. Because I kind of liked it in the original movie, but I don't... I kind of liked it, but I don't miss its absence.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I would have liked something to replace it a bit more. Like, they got a few lines of dialogue. Like, there's a scene where Barry is trying on hats for Arthur, and he's just like, what about option A? Definitely not option A. Option B? Let me see A again. That was funny. That was cute. That was funny. I wanted something like that, but just with a bit more depth and a bit less telegraphed, like that lasso scene was in the previous version. And then we get Superman going to, is it the Fortress of Solitude or the scout ship?
Yeah, it's like the ship that, like, I think the idea is that, like, the ship had his pod in it. His pod was shot out of the ship, and then the ship crashed. Something like that.
It's and we get this in where he's like going through seeing all the different costumes while Kevin Costner and who fucking played his other dad?
Oh my god, brain dead. Right, Gladiator.
Russell Crowe. Gladiator. Russell Crowe.
I was gonna say Javert too.
Oh no! Oh god, what's the? I was going to make a reference to the Javert by like altering the lyrics to fit Russell Crowe in this movie, but I can't remember any of Javert's lines.
But like, this was obviously like new for the. I'm pretty sure none of this was in the other movies, but like every time he talks to his dad, no matter which dad it is, it makes me cry. I'm like, oh man, Clark.
Oh, I thought of a reference, and I'm Jor-El. Like, that's it.
There you go.
Do not forget my name. Do not forget me. Kal-El of Krypton. I don't know. Anyway, and so then he has to pick his outfit, and he passes by the iconic red and blue outfit, and I'm just like, yes, time to put on the red, yellow, and blues. He puts on a black suit.
I like the black suit.
Ugh.
I like the black suit. I love the black suit.
Why? Like he wasn't enough like nice. Batman.
No, it just looks nice. I like the black suit. New soups. New soup, new suit.
I'm fine with a new design, but why black? This is not the mid-2000s. You can have color, movie.
New soups, new suit.
No. It looks dull, it looks drab, and this is supposed to be like the returning hero, this messianic figure. I mean, I don't like when they go.
Would you rather him wear white, or would that be too on the nose?
That would be too on the nose, but I would prefer white. Like, I prefer the original, but you know what? Yeah, white. Why not? Why the fuck not? It reminds me of, again, when he came back from the dead in the comics and he wore that black suit without the cape. It's like, we need to reinvent Superman. It's like, DC, you tried to reinvent Superman by killing him. That didn't work. What makes you think a black suit with no cape and a mullet is going to fix any of this? It's not. Just put him in the costume that we like.
I like the black suit.
Oh, but go and listen to My Chemical Romance, why don't you? So, the Justice League bar Superman, because he's busy listening to the Hans Zimmer score, turn up in Russia, and there are no civilians for them to save in this one. How do we feel about that?
Good. They explicitly explain no one fucking lives there because there's none of that. This was one of the things that before the Snyder Cut was announced, on Twitter, someone asked Zack Snyder about the family in Russia, and he responded with, "What the fuck are you talking about?" It was one of the things that he literally had no idea Joss had added.
I mean, I was fine with the family in Russia right up until the point where I saw Superman carrying an entire house. Then I thought...
No, it wasn't a house, it was an entire apartment complex.
Oh, that's even worse! It was so stupid, and it just became like, and it's not even like an inspiration moment. It's just a moment where to make the other characters feel weaker and more.
Like specifically make Barry look bad. It's like, I don't care. Like, no one's supposed to live there.
I'm fine with them using their powers because I like it when superheroes use their powers to defend civilians at the same time. Again, that felt like a reaction to Man of Steel, him destroying half of Metropolis on his own. And I like it when they save civilians, but time and a place. You know, if you're in the middle of...
They were explicit that in this version, no one lives here. Because it's irradiated. They were explicit about the fact that there's no civilian casualties because no civilians. None live here.
Yeah. So they all converge on this place. No orange sky.
Yeah. I mean, it was still there's a red dome. I think that the orange sky is because that dome doesn't exist in the original. They had to like try to cover it up.
Yeah, oh yeah. They break through the orange dome. Stephen King will be furious. And take out the sports, so that means they can all just break in. And then they all split up. Cyborg is going to try and hack the mother boxes, which are synchronizing to become Unity. And I don't really like the connotations that the heroes are attacking the concept of unity. That feels like a very weird connotation.
It's forced unity. It's of course it's Darkseid's version of unity, which is everyone becomes parademons.
And Barry is going to help him with some lightning. Meanwhile, Batman is taking out the parademons like only Batman can. And Aquaman with a gun. It's a laser gun. It's a laser gun.
I'm fine with him having guns against parademons. That's fine.
I mean, he traps guns to the fucking Batmobile again, miniguns the shit out of them while driving that around.
There's
like
guns on the crawler, too, and a missile. Like, holy shit, Bruce.
Better parademons than ordinary people. Looking at you, BVS. But anyway, and as Aquaman and Wonder Woman trying to stall Steppenwolf, all while, and then Superman shows up, and it seems like the tide has definitely turned. But it's handled much better than the original movie, where it's like Superman shows up, okay, we might as well go home because Superman is so fucking awesome.
They still need to wait. They still need Barry to get there. Like, they still need him to do the thing. Like, Superman's just buying them more time. But then Barry gets fucking shot. Like, holy shit.
He got shot early in the movie, and we didn't see him heal. Now we see him heal.
He also got his ankle broken, and I guess that's the explanation for him. But he's also, like, crying. He's, like, so hurt.
Yeah, he's crying, but he doesn't... Honestly, this is the one part of Ezra Miller's performance I really didn't like, because it sounded less like, oh my god, I'm seriously way in over my head, and I'm in a lot of pain, and more like, I did a pratfall. I know that wasn't the intention.
That's not what it sounded like. It was believable for someone in Barry's position to, like, he doesn't, like, do the I'm gonna suck it up and be a superhero. He actually feels this pain and is like trying. He's both trying to cover it up so he doesn't like cry into the microphone, but also like fuck. Like he's panic mode, which that I think was very believable.
Yeah, I believe that you believe it, but to me personally, that's how I interpreted it in the moment, at least. I know that's not what they're going for, but that's how it came across to me. And that's not a bad idea, honestly. That's very relatable, but it's not something that I personally interpreted. That's just my thing. Then the Earth explodes. God damn it, Barry.
Yeah, he's too late.
Too late. Earth explodes. We see all of them get vaporized, but then just in the nick of time, he slows down time and goes back in time.
I mean, he said when he was getting Superman, if I can get close to the speed of light, time gets weird, but I can do it. And then he also says, I'm going to break this rule. I'm going to go faster than the speed of light, and that's going to fuck shit up, but I got to do it.
And he does that, and he gives a big, long monologue that, frankly, does not feel very deserved, or indeed in keeping with his character at this point.
You just hate him.
I don't want to. No, okay.
this moment is fantastic because, like, we saw him with his dad earlier, how much he loves his dad, and how much, like, he has no idea what this could mean going faster than the speed of light. He doesn't know if he'll ever see his dad again, if anyone can hear him, but he's gonna try at least to get some kind of message somewhere out there. Maybe his dad can hear it, maybe not, and just, hey dad, guess what? I was a superhero. I want you to be proud of me. Fuck, let's go do this. Like, that was so powerful.
It was, but it could have been set up a little bit more. I don't need everything spelled out for me, but he doesn't talk with any of them about his dad that I can remember, at least.
He doesn't need, no one's ever having a conversation about their parents in this movie. Barry is someone who is not a superhero, who's new to this conversation. Like, he's not going to just casually bring up his dad. If no one else is talking about their parents, he's not going to bring up his parents. That's weird.
Everyone in this movie has parental issues of some kind. How are none of them talking about their parents?
It's just, I don't, we saw how much Barry cares about his dad. We don't need him hammering it home all the time. Yeah, I feel like that would be excessive.
They kept that, like I said, they kept that scene in from the original, and I do like that scene. I like Barry Allen in that scene. I thought he was really good, and there's a scene later on in the movie as that we'll get to that I also really liked. It's just the building blocks are there. I just particularly wasn't as invested as I thought I should have been.
I think where you're coming from is you feel like you need constant reminders through the whole movie that this exists.
I don't need constant reminders. I need a vague amount of setup. And
there was a whole scene of setup.
Yes, at the beginning of the movie, and we're near the end of the movie, and it's 4 hours long.
Okay, but you want it to be longer by having more reminders.
No, I want them to use their time more effectively. You have got 4 hours, fine. Use those 4 hours better. You know, I know that's not saying they didn't use them well. They did use them well, but it left a little something to be desired. And frankly, if that's the worst thing I could say about this movie, it's doing a pretty good job. Anyway, moving on. He reverses time, wibbly wobbly woo. Wibbly wobbly Jeremy Beremy. And he manages to help Victor detach the mother boxes. They go all hog wild on Steppenwolf. Diana finishes them off with a decapitation!
Yeah! They cut off, Clark cuts off one of his horns. Arthur stabs him. And then Diana cuts his head off and then sends him back through the portal. Look, this is a message for Darkseid. Come to Earth, get fucked.
And Darkseid is flanked by Desard and Granny Goodness?
Mm-hmm, Granny Goodness.
She's like a CGI character in the background. I don't think she's actually played by an actual person. But They put Granny Goodness in there. Hats off to them. I don't think most people... Joss Whedon definitely wouldn't.
Anna, what's her name? Anna DuVernay is still actually directing a Mr. Miracle and Big Barda movie.
Ooh.
So that's possibly set up for that.
Fine, okay. DC's priorities for which characters get what movie is very weird for me.
I really like them doing obscure ones. I'm so down for them doing keep doing obscure characters.
You know what? If it worked for Guardians of the Galaxy, it could work for Big Barda. Why not? Why the fuck not? I'm fine with that.
And Birds of Prey. Harley's not obscure, but fucking Huntress, and maybe not Black Canary, but Huntress and...
Yeah, Huntress is on the...
Cassandra
she's like
Cain.
a B-lister, but people know who she is. She's been in lots of different things. General audiences maybe less
Renee Montoya,
Yeah.
Very, very weird characters to put in that movie, and I'm happy. I like when they do the weird characters.
But sadly, despite seeing Steppenwolf's head lobbed right at him and him crushing it under his boot, the Darkseid is not deterred. He's like, Desard, we're going to Earth, but we're going there the scenic route. Give them time to put out a few more movies before we show up, because I'm getting me that anti-life equation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they also need to wait and see if Clark's going to die again. They're like, oh, well, now they've got a Kryptonian. Fuck! Now the security system's back on.
I have an army. We have Clark Kent.
Yeah, we got a Kryptonian. Oops.
Then we get the epilogue. So, Bruce, Diana, and Alfred set up a new Hall of Justice, I guess, in the former Wayne Manor. Room for more members. That's cool.
Barry and his dad.
Barry and his dad. That's a great scene with Barry and his dad. That was really nice.
I taught him nothing he knows. It's so good.
I keep on forgetting that actor's name. He's been in tons of stuff.
I don't know.
I can't remember his name. Like, there's so many people in this movie. I can't remember all of them. But every time I've seen him in a movie, he's either really fucking boring or objectively excellent. And this is one of the ones where he's excellent. I really liked him in this. Another good example would be Spotlight, who's good in that. Other times he's just sort of like, I'm in the scene now. I've never seen an actor with such a wide disparity between quality performances, aside from maybe Ben Kingsley. Anyway, then we also get Cyborg going back to his empty apartment and seeing the tape recorder that he smashed in the movie, and then he fixes it. I don't know how he fixes it.
Because he's a mother box. Same thing, same principle as building the house again.
Okay, sure. And although it was that's fine, sure. I just remembered one thing about the scene with Barry's dad. Before, in the previous scene where they interacted, Barry's dad was just like, you need to just like move on with your life. Don't bother with a criminal justice degree. Just live your life. Don't use it just to save me. But then Barry gets his criminal justice degree and is all for it.
It's not his degree. It's a job.
Oh yeah, it's a job at a crime lab. Yeah, and that's a very quick turnaround, but it's still a nice scene, so I don't care.
So it's something that I've actually I have actual related experience with. I had applied for a broad program in college, and it was it took them a really long time to give me an answer on that. And right before I got an answer, I kind of told my parents, I was like, I don't think I actually want to do this. I'm like, yeah, no, that's fine. And then I got the email saying I was in, and I told them that I had got in. I was like, haha, isn't that so funny? I'm just about to pull out, and they tell me I'm in. And then everyone was like, no, you're going. Because they had assumed that if it would take that long, then I wasn't going to get in. It's a parental thing of I'm going to give you an out because I don't think you're actually going to succeed in this, but I don't want to say that.
Oh, I see. That's a very good way of looking at it, actually. And yeah, no, I like that. I mean, I still like the scene, despite that.
Right, yeah.
It's
so when it actually happens, he's like, "Oh shit, it happened! Go fuck yeah!"
And you know what? He's proud of his son no matter what, and that's why they have such a great relationship. It's really cool. Arthur bids goodbye to Mira and Willem Dafoe, and
maybe I'll see you sometime else.
Maybe you'll be played by a different actor. Who knows?
Maybe we'll fuck someday. In a movie that already came out.
all while this is going on, Victor is playing the message from his father about how he's a father twice over. That's what the epilogue is called, actually. And it's a I don't want to say long-winded, but slightly overstays its welcome speech, which is nonetheless very sweet and is a very nice send-off for these characters.
And Ryan gets put in charge of nanotechnology.
Yeah, that's like, oh, Ryan Choi, you're in charge of nanotechnology? Yes, I am. Atom.
Yep.
It was for a movie that was quite subtle in some of its fan service. This was not very subtle.
No, it's fine though. It's the end.
Superman goes back to life as a reporter for the Daily Planet. I don't know how he's going to explain that to his boss. Coma. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I think Perry knows. I think it's established in Batman vs Superman that Perry has an idea. I don't remember.
Hey, who doesn't know that Clark is Superman? Yeah. They showed his face and Lois screamed his name in front of several witnesses at the memorial.
Yeah, I think at some point they've just given up trying to hide who Clark is. But yeah, we know. Superman works with the Daily Planet. It's fine.
Side note, we forgot to mention earlier because we were too busy simping over Jason Momoa. Henry Cavill's chest in that scene.
My god, he looks so good.
He got a little bit of 70s chest hair. I like it.
But anyway, the Bruce buys the bank so that they get the farm back, and that's really nice. I think that was in the original too.
Yeah, that was in the original. And then it's like, okay, everything's wrapped up in a very nice little bow. But turns out, Epilogue is a bit of a misnomer, because we got another one. We then cut to Arkham Asylum, where Lex Luthor was committed. How? Why?
That's in the original too. That's like obviously, but also Arkham's got a weird name in this one. It's Arkham Home for the Emotionally Disturbed.
Motherfucker, I'm emotionally disturbed. You're not going to lock me up.
I understand why they put him there, because he's like babbling about Darkseid at the end of Batman vs Superman.
Sure.
So.
I get the feeling that guy with that many connections will be able, and that much money will be able to get him out of that.
I think that's why he went to Arkham, because it's easy to break out.
That's a good point. I mean, that place has basically got a revolving door policy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see him on his yacht.
This was the post-credit scene of the original. It's basically the same thing, kind of. It's like a little bit longer, but it's the same thing.
And this takes place all before the credits. We then cut to him. Deathstroke turns up, played by that lovable D&D nerd guy whose name I can't pronounce.
Joe something.
Manganiello?
I think so, yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce it, but I'm always certain that that's wrong. Anyway, and he turns up.
A lot of consonants.
And here's the thing, though. The conversation goes a bit different, though. In the original, it's just like, don't you think we should have a league of our own?
Yeah.
Are you referring to the Gina Davis movie? No, I'm talking about our own bad guy club. Jesus, man. I would like to see that movie. Okay, I've got a DVD player and back. We'll watch it. Fine, I like Tom Hanks, sure. But no, in this version, he reveals, because apparently Batman took Slade's eye, that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you broke rule number 1. Oh, no. Relax. You can't do that.
That's illegal.
Alexander, you're not allowed to do that.
And it's like, okay, that's all the post-credit scenes, but not pre-credit scenes really taken care of. No. There's another one. Motherfucker, how many epilogues does this epilogue have?
This is the only scene that was filmed for this movie. The only new scene is this one.
Oh,
and
God.
You can tell.
You can tell. So it flashes for. Remember that stupid post-apocalyptic scene from Batman vs Superman? They went back to it with. There's
also been like hints of. I think it was Cyborg who saw like when they woke up Superman, he saw like Wonder Woman dead and Superman over like a Lois Bones. I think.
I see a really solid PS3 game. No, it's PS4. And then it's followed by a sequel that's even better than the first. Oh my God, so many different characters, so many skins, a really unnecessarily complicated loot system, but still a lot of fun. Supergirl being a really fleshed out character. This seems really awesome. Oh no, it's bad. It's bad. As we get that scene. And so we see them like a bunch of parademons. And at first I thought, oh, these parademons fleeing from the Russian place? Like there's still a few of them hanging around? No. It's the far future. They're stumbling through a desert. It's Batman, Victor, Robot, Flash,
Barry, yeah,
Mira. Slade Wilson.
I don't think Ezra was actually there. It's very, he doesn't say a single word. They don't say a single word in this scene. And then they also, it seems like they have the superimposed version of themselves from Batman vs Superman. I don't think they're actually there. They didn't get Ezra back.
I don't think they did. And I, for one, am personally fine with that. And it's just like, okay, guys, we can't stay out here long because otherwise Superman will find us. He then turns around and has a very long, extended conversation with Jared Leto's Joker.
They just let Jared Leto go, huh? They just let him go.
JK, not dead, lol.
Yeah, they just let him do what he wants for a while.
Just like they just release him into a film set, like you might
He's
release a wild
actually,
animal.
I actually think this is better than Suicide Squad. Like this, like he's way more. Like he seems like he has a more understanding of what he wanted in his performance than he did in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know if just for the scene they stopped him from sending dead animals to his co-stars, but clearly it paid off.
He's like toned down a little bit.
And
He's still wild.
But here's the thing, he has this, and it's like, oh my god, this is really cool. Batman and the Joker having like an alliance of convenience against Superman. Joker's like wearing a SWAT uniform with like a bunch of badges and stuff, so he's clearly killing people. Batman threatens to kill him at some point. He says, I promise I will kill you. And it's like, oh my god, this is really cool. Wait, didn't you say you couldn't be out here long? Superman turns up. God damn it, Bruce.
Yeah, but this conversation is interesting though, because it like there was hints about it in both Suicide Squad. I mean, not just hints. It was almost explicit in both Suicide Squad and Batman vs. Superman if you're paying attention. But like he says explicitly in this, like, you sent the boy Wander to do a man's work and I killed him. I killed your son. Like, I killed your adopted son, bitch. How, like, what are you gonna do about it? How many people are gonna die for you because you just won't fucking die? And then Bruce comes back with, you want to know what Harley said when she fucking died in my arms? To kill your ass, and I'm gonna do it.
I've already used it, but I'm gonna use it again.
Upgrades, people, upgrades.
Harley using her last breath. Like, I thought like Zack was gonna do a thing that I hate, with his like try to like say that they actually like each other. But the fact that Harley uses her last breath to say fucking kill the Joker rules. I'm okay with her. I'm not okay with her being dead, but I'm more okay with her being dead if she is like telling Batman to kill the Joker.
Bats, come close. I got to tell you something. I want you to kill Mr. J. Dead.
Kill his ass.
Oh god, I mean that's very on brand for Harley Quinn. I love that.
Mm-hmm. And he looks really upset by that. I love when they make Joker feel things.
Yeah, but here's the thing. My interpretation of that was he was upset because he thought he had a hold on Harley, not because he liked her, but because he was like her. She was like his property or something, and to find out that something that he considered his property rejected him in such a harsh way and used her last words to do so.
Breath. Yeah,
it's an egotism thing. It's not like, oh, I miss her so much. It's like, oh, I'm not as cool as I think I am, and I love that. I love that.
It's so good.
And it turns out to be a fucking dream.
It's a future vision thing.
You suck.
Yeah.
The Return of the King has less endings than this. My fucking god. And so Bruce wakes up from a dream. And it was a dream again. Like the last time. Why is Bruce psychic all of a sudden? Why is he Nostradamus?
I don't know where he's getting these dreams from. Is it from Barry? Is it from Future Barry? How does Future Barry give people dreams?
Maybe it's Kitty Pryde going back in time.
It might be Martian Manhunter. He's able to do that shit.
He's got like telepathy, but
yeah, he's got telepathy.
I don't know how he can see the future.
I don't think it's him seeing the future. I think he's like there in some capacity. Like he's not in that scene, but I think he's there in some capacity and is able to like use Barry to also like transmit. Maybe he's possessing, but I don't fucking know what's going on.
Zack, you better be fucking going somewhere with this.
Well, they won't let him go somewhere with this.
And then, speaking of Martian Manhunter, he turns up on Bruce's dock and he's just like, hi, I'm a green space alien. I'm going to be keeping an eye on things. And Bruce is like, okay, it's not the weirdest thing I've seen today.
He actually is like really nice about it. He's like, hey, okay, cool. Whatever. It's cool. He's like, your parents would be proud of you. And me personally would be like, what the fuck do you know about his parents? But Bruce is like, thank you. Like, very, very polite to this man who just showed up out of nowhere.
I think it's because we have to remember that Martian Manhunter is an alien who lost his entire race, so maybe he's just more in touch with his emotions than the rest of us are, and he feels like that's an appropriate thing to say.
Right, but, I mean, even Bruce is like, cool, thanks, man. Like, he's not offended by it at all.
He's much more emotionally stable, I guess. And
yeah, now he is.
Then we pan up to see this beautiful bit of scenery. The Martian Manhunter flies away, and we end with a very touching dedication to... It was Zack Snyder's daughter, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how the movie ends. So, we'll talk about our thoughts after some ads. And we're back. Okay, final thoughts, because we've been going at this a fucking long time and I'm eager to wrap things up. I told you my thoughts on this movie were complicated. Like, is it an improvement over Joss Whedon's Justice League? Yes, absolutely. Is it good? Honestly, I will say yes. But is it as good? I personally think it's not as good as it could be. And some of that is people's fault, and some of that is just as a result of circumstance, and there's no getting around that. And you have to keep that in mind. I do not think, and I stand by this, that the 4-hour runtime is not justified, not in this form. Maybe there's a way they could have made it justified, but I don't think there is. But I found I was making a lot more notes than I usually did, and I was not liking a lot of stuff, but I was still engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think with this movie... yeah, sorry.
Go on. No, go on.
I was just say, like, I think, like, something that I've always liked about the Zack Snyder movies is that you are consistently rewarded for paying attention and paying a lot of attention, and like multiple viewings is like, I've always liked these movies the first time I saw them, and then like, and like just like them more time, because I think like these movies do so well when you're watching them multiple times and you're thinking about what's going on, and like. I think like Zack does a very good job at not hand holding a lot of things. There's a lot of things that obviously are not subtle in the fucking slightest, but like,
and some things that are, in fairness, I'm not. I mean, I honestly think this is probably one of his best films to date, which, in my view, isn't really saying much because I don't hold him as a director in very high esteem, but. The thing I have to take away from this is that this movie is not for me. Justice League was for me, even though I didn't like it. Batman vs. Superman was for me, even though I didn't like it. Even Suicide Squad was for me, even though I didn't like it. But this movie isn't for me. It's for people who truly care about these characters and want to see them done, ironically, justice. And honestly, for all the faults of this movie, both the sins of the father and, you know, the sins of circumstance and the sins of just in the moment poor decisions, I think that's what DC fans got. They got something that was exclusively for them. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's indulgent, like I said, but it's still good.
So like there is this like through line in all three movies that I think like a lot of people who were fans of this universe and Snyder's vision understood that this is where it was going to go, but a lot of people didn't, and so came down on them as like, this is too dark, this is too gritty, there's not anything here, it's just pain all the time. But people who are paying attention, especially at the end of Batman vs. Superman, that ultimately this franchise, these three movies are about hope. And they're about people being good, and how like there is always a light, even if it seems terrible. And that's something that like literally Batman says explicitly at the end of Batman vs. Superman. But in this movie, it's so obvious that like that was the core of this movie, is that there is good in everyone, and sometimes you have to pull at it, and sometimes it's really hard to get there, but you can still get there.
I completely agree with you on that, to be perfectly honest. I think that has been the intention from day one, but I only think it's only now that it's been properly executed. Fight me on it, I don't care. And I just kind of wish we'd had something like this before, but then we would have had maybe 4-hour runtimes from Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, and that's not really something I could stomach. This is unique among movies. This is a singular event for which there is no precedent, and you have to take that into account. And I feel no inclination to go back to this movie. I can't say that I enjoy myself, but I can't say that I hated it either. But again, it's not for me. But I'm glad that this movie exists. I'm really glad that people called out for it to be made. I'm glad that Zack Snyder was able to make it and fulfill his vision. I'm glad that DC gave him the opportunity to do that. Doesn't change how I feel about the DCU as a whole, but this is unique. And in an industry where marketing and executives are determined to grind almost everything down into the most generic, flavorless mush as possible just to put bums in seats. I mean, this came at a unique point in history. This could not have worked a year ago, 2 years ago. Might not even have worked a few years from now. It was like a perfect storm that enabled it to exist. And like I said, I'm glad it exists. I'm glad I got to see it. And whilst I don't want to go back to it, I don't regret the time I spent watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's something that was made with love, not cynicism. That's something I've never really gotten, with the possible exception of Birds of Prey and maybe Aquaman, out of any of these movies before. And I finally got that. And even though I'm not a DC fan and this movie's done nothing to change that, I'll always appreciate that because it's worth appreciating. So that's my take on Zack Snyder's Justice League. It is something to be appreciated, whether you're a fan, whether you're not a fan, whether you're a casual goer, moviegoer, or anything in between. And considering how so many films are just sort of like consume and then move on, this is something that is worth talking about, I think. Any other final thoughts before we end, Alex?
I think where I'm at is it's been actually a really long time since I've watched Batman vs Superman or Man of Steel, and I was really worried going into this because I knew the kind of things that I liked from those movies and the things that people have been shitting on for years about those movies, and I was
guilty.
Yeah, and I was going into it being like, this is just going to be more fodder. I'm so happy that this exists, but this is just going to be more fodder. It is annoying how much. Obviously, there are fucking garbage Snyder fans. There's always going to be. Snyder actually, last week, called out some of them and told them to go fuck themselves. But it's. The hatred that he gets and the hatred that this franchise gets is almost entirely undeserved. And it is hard to be a fan of those when almost everyone I follow on Twitter, I have to mute Zack Snyder because anything that comes up of him is negative. Because no one actually wants to give him any kind of benefit of any kind of doubt, which why is he the epitome of people think he's the reason everything is bad about superhero movies when that's not even close to the truth.
No, it isn't. And like I said, while I don't really like his style as a director, he's not responsible for that. Honestly, it's people in uncreative positions, marketers, studio execs, they're the ones that are determining the creative drive of these movies. So if you've got a beef to pick, you've got it to pick with them. I don't hate Zack Snyder. He's just not my thing. And that's okay. If that's the worst thing you could say about someone, they must be doing an okay job. And on that note, I think we're going to end the show. Thank you very much, Alex, for joining me today.
Yeah, this was fun. We kept it tight. Somehow.
But more than Zack Snyder did. 4 fucking hours I'll never get back. If you enjoy the show, though, Capers, please tell your friends. Shout it from the rooftops. And if you haven't already, go back and listen to some of our other super episodes, like I guess our now out-of-date Justice League review. It's still worth a listen. Go on. And you can listen to the show on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, or podgibbs.com. If you want to get in touch with us, suggest show topics, or maybe come on the show yourself, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AP2HYC. Thank you very much to Dan Harris for our logo, the lovely microphone, the red and blue 3D glasses. Those are mine. And thank you for listening. This has been Podcapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. Cue the music!